Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody from all around the world, hello and welcome to another episode of The Worshipper with me, your host, Jean-Luc Watch. Make some noise, clap it up, get excited wherever you are. I don't know why there was a delay in the transitions of the music, but either way, we're here, we're live, we're back, and we're ready for a Friday edition of The Watch Report right here on YouTube and on every podcasting platform imaginable. We got Inoue versus Nakatani confirmed for May 2nd. We're going to talk about the early prediction and breakdowns of that fight. Gervonta Davis and his potential comeback fight opponent now has been in the big news for a whole bunch of people. The rumor is it's gonna be the likes of Isaac Cruz finally getting his deserved rematch over after a number of years. But again, is it the fight the fans want? Is it the fight that we want? Is it the fight that I want to go down and happen and transpire? I want to hear from you in everything regarding the world of boxing and beyond. I'm gonna tell you this right now, we're gonna have a blast, we're gonna have a time, we're gonna have so much fun and enjoyment with you all. It is Friday, so what that means that it is the championship rounds today. That means the entirety of the show is driven by you, the viewing and listening public. Oh yes, indeed, y'all control the show, y'all control the vibe, y'all control the topics of discussion for the entirety of this show. On today, now we still have agendas, we still have plot points and topics that we will discuss, but on the whole, it's going to be y'all driving the ship and telling us where we're going to go for the topics of conversation, whether it's movie, sports, television, video games, boxing, and beyond. You all hold the keys to this kingdom and to this empire. Speaking of empire, hey, if you haven't tuned in before, this is The Worship Report. I'm your host, John Rush. Go on ahead and subscribe to the empire. Come on, be a part of the hottest show in all the globe right here on YouTube. And on every podcasting platform imaginable. Go ahead and subscribe to us. Hit the notification bell so you know whenever we post right here on YouTube. Be sure to leave a like on the video. One click makes a world of difference for us to be able to go and have the globe see what we got going on right here on this show. And please be sure to do the most important thing, which is to share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together, all with you and your support. We can make it possible, we can make it grand, we can make it beautiful to be able to go through and build this community together, all with you and your support. We love you, we appreciate you, we're just so glad that you're here. And last thing, if you want to support the show, you like what we got going on, hey, we got Cash App, we got PayPal, we got links down below in the description. We also have super chats, super gifts, stickers, and the like right here by the chat button. If you can't support the channel, it would mean the world to me. Any amount would do. All we just need for you to do is just stick around, support, and it helps us to edify the show, make it bigger, better, and stronger for the viewers and listeners around the world, as well as helps me to pay the bills on my end of the spectrum. And hey, who doesn't need that? I know I do. So hey, if you can't support, would mean the world to me, and I would appreciate it. But just you sticking around is all I can ask for. But we got a whole bunch of stuff to talk about. We got a whole bunch of things to discuss. Shilling aside, and the necessary and the necessary means of giving. We got a whole jam-packed show. We got a lot to discuss with you all, and we got to make up for the time that we weren't able to go and talk on Thursday, because we weren't able to be here on Thursday. So we're going to give you everything that we got and so much more. So without further ado, we got boxing covered, we got sports to do, we got entertainment to provide, and we got debates to have. So with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to step into the ring, and it's time for the championship rounds all in one. Yes, sir. Let's get it started. Ring the bell. Come on. It's time to work. It's time to grow. It's time to make it do what we do and have ourselves a phenomenal time on our show today. And we appreciate all of you tuning in and listening and being a part of the chat. And please put your chats down below in the comment section. We want to hear from you on today. But the biggest thing that we're going to discuss as to lead off this topic, yes, you see the thumbnail, you saw Inoue and Nakatani. We're going to delve into that secondly, because I know there's a lot of stuff we want to talk about with Inoue and Nakatani. Absolutely. We also got stuff to talk about with Devin Haney, but most importantly, we got stuff to talk about with Tank Davis on today, because I didn't get to talk about it on Tuesday, and that is it. Tank, not that one, no, the wrong one. There we go. Tank Davis coming back, and it is going to be reportedly against Isaac Cruz. Oh my. Well, something we've been asking for. We have been anticipating this for a long time from the perspective, but we didn't know what was going to happen with all the legal trouble that transpired, with all of the out of ring. I don't want to demean it by saying shenanigans, but more so the out of ring actions that were taking place that really detracted and were taken away from the career. Everybody was questioning what's going on with Tank. Why is this stuff going to happen? When is he actually going to fight again? Will he retire? Well, now it seems to be that the words coming forward have rung true, and that the next fight was being made right under our noses, and now we're reporting again allegedly. In fact, let me actually pull up the Let me actually pull up the evidence. I don't want to be talking just to talk. I want to actually give you a semblance of authenticity, receipts, not even receipts, stinking, facts that we can give on this show to show you exactly what we are alluding to. But again, essentially, Tank reportedly is going to be fighting against Isaac Cruz, or at least is discussing fighting against Isaac Cruz, and the undercard of that fight would be the likes of, again, reportedly, Lamont Roach versus William Zepeda. Oh, yes, indeed. Now, that's a good fight. That's a good fight. Even, that's a great, and going off the words of Dan Raphael for the Lamont Roach fight, reportedly it's actually a done deal at this moment in time that Lamont Roach and Zepeda are actually going to fight each other. Also, before we even continue, we got people in the chat right now. Yo, Bird, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show with us on today. We're so happy that you chose to join in to be a part of our community together. Let me see. I also love King. How you doing as well? Thank you for tuning in. So glad that you joined us with us. So glad that you're here. Let me see. Wow, that's true. That would be amazing. And talking about the Isaac Cruz and Tank fight. If Tank KO Pitbull, is he top 5 pound for pound? Well, let's see. That's where the discussion surrounding the fight now comes into play. And like I said, again, quickly recapping, Tank Davis reportedly going to be fighting Isaac Cruz, or at least is discussing that fight behind the scenes. And William Zepeda versus Lamont Roach is something that is on the docket that is talked about, at least per Dan Raphael. Believe it's a done deal, that fight in particular. In fact, I think even by the Ring Magazine themselves, they confirmed that fight is going down. That could be the undercard of the co-main event for that potential card with Tank and Isaac as the headliner, which again is great and it's phenomenal. So I'm very happy for it. But the talk around that fight of what Tank would be, what would he be like, how would he transpire, not just in his return, but also if he won, where would that put him? There's a lot of topics with that. So let's actually break this down first and foremost. If Tank did fight Pitbull, would he be top 5 pound for pound? Well, I would say no. No, that's because we already know what Isaac Cruz is, ranked-wise in the world of boxing. Very exciting fighter, very dangerous fighter, a very good fighter. Absolutely one of my favorite fighters that I love to watch in the sport. I've said that on multiple occasions. However, beating him does not mean that Tank is back in pound-for-pound discussion. No way, shape, or form, especially what we've seen everybody else do against the names they've been doing it against. Again, for titles and or against people that are already on the pound list. This ain't Shakur fighting Teofimo Lopez. This isn't Devin Haney blowing out Brian Omer Jr. in his debut. This ain't nothing up. This ain't Benavidez going up and getting ready to fight Zotto after cleaning out just about everybody except for Bebo and Better BF at 175. Part of the reason why he didn't get those two names was because he didn't get the fights that he was in position to get because the brother was a mandatory, or he was the interim. He should have gotten the mandatory, but Bebo denied the mandatory and again went to fight Better BF, but then got surgery as it was out. So Better BF didn't get to fight, Bebo didn't get to fight, and Better BF was hung out to dry. So again, that wasn't fair on his part. But this ain't nothing like that. It's nothing like that from the standpoint of quality fight. But it's a good fight. Be clear. We at least I wouldn't even say we. I would say we needed to see that rematch happen. Now, it should have happened earlier. Should have happened further into the debut of 140 pounds, more specifically after we saw Isaac Cruz beat Rolly Romero for the title. We should have seen Tank And even after he knocked out Frank Martin at 140, we should have seen Tank go to 140 and fight the likes of Isaac Cruz if we want to see this fight at the most prime opportunity. I'm sorry, drinking my coffee. It's some good coffee, but still, when with this type of fight, wouldn't put it back in the pound for pound, but it would finally do the thing that I have been saying we need to do for a number of years, which is get Tank to finally fight the people that are around the threshold that again, within the vicinity of what his skill set is. And what do I mean? I said since he fought Isaac Cruz already, and he beat him, give all credit. I've never distracted from that win. I'm saying Tank, since that, and most importantly, since the Frank Martin fight, or up to the Frank Martin fight, which was a good fight, our detraction was there's a lot of names that we wanted to see that had either elevated or been successful or showed, okay, they're worth the muscle, and you've had close fights with them, or you didn't get to fight them and we wanted to see you fight them that we had not seen them get in the ring with. And so now we're saying this road is the type of road, especially if he's fighting Isaac Cruz. Guess what that means? He's fighting at 140. Yes, hey, wait a minute now. I didn't even put that together. I did not even put that together. He is fighting, if this is true, that this fight is being discussed. He is fighting at 140 pounds. And if that's the case, it's going to be great. It's going to be grand. And it brings about finally the opening of competition on this wider scale where more competitive fights across the board are now in a position to be made happen. Again, like 154, 140's got a lot of killers where you can't really go anywhere without running into somebody that can do some real business with you, especially at the championship caliber, which for many people, Tank is at. He is. Do we deny? We don't deny. He is that. We can talk about what we had with Lamont Roach, or what the fight he had with Lamont Roach. And the draw, again, Lamont Roach drew with Isaac Cruz. We're talking and we're saying, hey, there's a lot of clarification of your skill set as well as outright validation of your skill set at 140 pounds because of the fact that if you're going to fight Isaac Cruz and you're going to rematch him, which again, I'm fine with, you're now open to fight and stay where the killers are that we were saying we wanted to see you up against. Like with Teofimo Lopez. Oh boy. Like with Gary Antoine Russell. Like with, dare I say it, Shakur Stevenson. Hey now, don't forget that fight was also on the docket as a super event. A mega fight. Would have been one of the biggest fights of the year. And now we are actually in a position with, again, Shakur saying he's down to come back down to where he fought at 140, beat Teofimo Lopez, wants to move up to 147, or is talking about moving up to 147 alongside with Keyshawn Davis, who wants to move up to 147. But now with Tank back in the mix, genuinely, if it is going to be at 140, which I do believe it'll be at 140, because Isaac Cruz probably ain't coming back down. Most likely he ain't coming back down to 135. Now we got ourselves, okay, you in the thick of it. Now this is your second time at 140, and now you in the midst of everybody else who is a dog and the biggest fight of the year, off of the backs of the biggest win of his career in a fight against Shakur. Shakur saying he wants Devin Haney. He would love to fight Devin Haney. Well, Devin Haney now has been legitimate talks, with actually going to fight Rolly Romero, as he's the only one that actually sent a contract in reportedly. And so they're actually in some serious discussion. We could see something happen within the next month or so, by the end of the month. Hypothetically, with Rolly and Devin Haney. Unless we see all this is rules and we're actually getting Devin Haney, Richie Ryan Garcia. At this point in time, I don't know. I'm going to just keep up with as much as we can. Keep up with as much as we can. But even still, this is what we've been waiting on. At least for me. Now, you the fans, question is, do you all want that fight? Though the road of what this can open up could be incredible for the finality of Tank's career, where he is at the tail end, per his own words. He says he's got more in the tank. I don't know how long he's going to fight, so I'm going to assume everything at this point in time is nearing the end of the road. Though his prime is still his prime, he could now go and get into the real lions, tigers, and bears of competition. Not saying he hasn't fought people before, but saying that now the elites that we've been waiting on are here at this weight class at 140, and you can fight all of them. And every single one of them would be a huge occasion. You got a rematch with Isaac Cruz has been building for about, three years or since that fight. You got to fight with Lamont Rocha. Everybody wanted last year that we didn't get because you were going to fight Jake Paul, and then you just didn't fight at all because of the whole court case situation. So we've been talking a lot of talk about you and Tank. About you and Lamont Roach, excuse me, that is a fight that can go and transpire. Then you got you and Shakur Stevenson, which has been a fight that people have been wanting since like 2024. That's a fight that can happen. You and Teofimo Lopez, y'all came up together as part of the Kings of 135. That's a fight that can happen. You and Gary Antoine Russell, somebody who is a killer and a dog from the standpoint of speed and power, who just had a great fight against Andy Hiroka. Now you can go against him and show who the real bad butter is up here in this division. That's a great fight. You versus Steven Sabril Matias, one of the former boogeyman of this division, a dog of a puncher, one of the scariest people in all of boxing. Yes, he got knocked out by Dalton Smith, but that type of matchup would be a very interesting affair. And it would be something that would be a big fight. There's a whole bunch of stuff that could transpire. But will he do it? We don't know, but the point is, it's on the table. That's the biggest thing. It's on the table, and that's what makes me so excited. Let me see. The best fight in the weight class is Murataya versus Lamont for sure. If we saw Murataya also choose to move up and fight at 140, which again, I can't confirm whether that's happening or not, so I got to find out. But if that also was the case, now you got Raymond Murataya off the biggest win of his career against Andy Cruz, becoming a champion. Now, if he throws his head at 140, all of a sudden, the world is everybody's oyster of competition. Again, one of the deepest divisions in all of boxing, and Tank in the mix adds a layer of, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, we're finally getting the type of connecting the dots we've been asking for an abundance of years, as well as a density and talent that there's nowhere for Tank to run to get an easy fight. Everything up here is competitive, if not potentially beatable. For and against Tank. So, I'm down for it. I'm excited for it. But this fight, Murataya versus Lamont Roach, if we saw that after Lamont versus Williams Cepeda, which again, I think that fight is indeed going down, great. Even better. And for anything, I would love to see how it works with Murataya developing up at this division with the skills he already showed at 135. Well, I'm very excited for it. No question about it. But also, I didn't even get to say hi to Teddy Berkshire. Teddy, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Also, I almost forgot to say, hey, I got a haircut. I forgot to say I got a haircut. Yeah. Look at me. Now, granted, it is incredibly fresh. So give me about a day or two to grow in. But yeah, man, I'm looking good. I'm looking sharp. I'm looking clean. Finally got this water hair taken together. And too big to brush, and now we're going back down with the low fades and all. But yes, indeed, I look so pristine. I'm telling you, man, I look sharp. If I do say so myself. If I do say so myself. But again, not to brag, just had to gloat a little bit about how about how I'm looking. Oh shoot, I see you there, Teddy Berkshire. Yeah, Mr. Freshman. Yeah, man. Hey, look. Saved up, been able to. I had to get taken care of because I tell you, it was a lot to manage, and it wasn't looking good. So I had to go and get it right. And now I'm looking clean and pristine, no question about it, man. I'm telling you, I'm slick like Rick, but I got both my eyes. That's a horrible joke. I'm sorry. That's terrible. Look, Slick Rick, incredible rapper. I do apologize. Again, just harmless fun. Again, the eye patch has become one of his staples. But again. See, you see what I'm doing now? You see what's going on with me? This is why you can't be feeling yourself when you get cut, because all of a sudden, you throw away everything about yourself. It's a shame. It's horrible. I'm not gonna. That's funny though. That's. I'll crack my own stuff up. I apologize. Let me get back to the show. Let me see. Does Franklin get stopped for the first time, or does Atama, or does he expose Atama? I know you got Atama. I think he does get stopped against Atama. I do believe he gets stopped. And I'll get into why a little bit later on in the show. But real quick, let me go through and then get back to Love King's comment. Love King, you question top 10? I would say no. And again, you have to say, remember, I have Canelo as the 10th best fighter. Off the backs of that loss to Terrence Crawford, he bumped down, but he's still in the top 10, even though he lost his championship. Now you can say if you want to say that he shouldn't belong there, that those last two performances between Skull and Crawford should bump him out. I think that's too harsh for me, but I understand. Regardless of which, should he be ranked above Canelo with the recent, or rather even lack of activity that we've seen from Tank, as well as just outright even beforehand, if Tank was active, but going on the same trajectory that we were talking about, should he have been in the top 10 above would he have been in the top 10 above a current standing Canelo Alvarez? I would have said no. And I still say no now. That doesn't mean he can't. Like I said, this road at 150, at 140 is the way to get into the top 10. But it's not just going to take one win. If this isn't, again, the reason why, and I say this as importance because it's not the same as when we were talking about Devin Haney. Devin Haney moving up and fighting the best at 150, at 147 immediately, and then whitewashing him for his belt when he was the best in the world at that division, unquestionably. That is something with already established the legacy that he had already put together in terms of Devin Haney. That's why he got propelled into the pound-for-pound top 10. Because he got back to form that we had seen him as before, but did it against somebody that was seen as a really dangerous threat in the first stint out, against similar to what we saw with Inoue when he beat Stephen Fulton in his first fight up at 140, at 122, and blew him out the water and knocked him out. The performance and the step up, as well as what he had done previously, all in that one moment helped to catapult, or combined, to help to catapult. With Tank, it's not going to be Isak, boom, now you're back in top 10 contention. For Tank, because of where, even with the combination of his own legacy, which we have criticized, but there is still a legacy. I just don't think it's going to be memorable if it ended today. But even with the cachet, the star power, again, the talent that we see, and the championships he had won, and even with the names that he had beaten up until this point, which again, are not bad. But that combined with the win against Isak wouldn't just get him up there. But if he went Isak, Lamont next, and then I'd even say, shoot, Dalton Smith, go for a belt against him. In fact, I think he was what, WBA champ already? If Dalton Smith has a WBA title, you might be able to kind of maneuver your way into saying, hey, I want that belt now. Boom. Now you got yourself a championship. And now we can say, okay, boom. It's been 3 fights. And you've been against the comp that gave you the most trouble. You went back through, knocked them out, or beat them, Kingdom Come. Then you got a belt afterwards in the ring against somebody who beat the Boogeyman. Sure. Fine. That can be top 10 potential. That can be top 10 capabilities. And there's still stiff competition at that top 10 level. Be clear. But you can now have a better argument. Yeah, he should be up there. Or you could say he should at least be around there now. because we already knew how great his talent was, and now also we've seen the titles and the questions that we wanted about him against certain competition. We finally got. Ultimately, we still want to see T.O., Shakur, that type of comp going up against him, but even still, the wheel is turning. That was my biggest concern. The wheel wasn't turning when it came to Tank and the fighters that he was getting in the ring with. Yes, people that he beat got accolades after. That's not what we were asking for. It proves, hey, yeah, good wins. Yeah, like I've said previously. However, when you fought them, that is the context that matters for me. Again, for me, over everything. When you fought them, what were they? And when he fought Isak, that's what got Isak on the map. When he fought Lamont Roach, that's when he got on the map. No disrespect to their talent, but their talent wasn't seen in the same regard up until they put on a performance that gave them, against the person of Tank, something to, oh, we need to start paying attention. This guy is actually really good. But not somebody who, without Tank, they were already proven as this guy is a threat to you. To the degree of, okay, hey, without you as the launching point, we know this guy is something serious in a way that is around your same level. More than just it's a one night type of thing that this cat is looking like something of a dog. Oh my gosh. From the perspective of, again, looking at the context within the fight when he fought them. At the point in time at which he fought. Because I remember the conversation we were having about that fight. It was an exciting fight, absolutely. But again, yeah, Tank's going to win. Lamont Roach versus Tank. We know Tank is better. We were criticizing Tank for taking that fight. Why? Because that fight wasn't something that was worth the time, because you're bringing somebody up from 130 and nobody at 135 can take your power. Why would we go against somebody who you're just as fast as them and your league stronger than them and you are way better than them, pound for pound level competition? And people, be honest, people did not, unless you were hardcore, people did not know, nor did they care about Lamont Roach. And even in his last fight, he didn't show people a bunch of stuff that gave them confidence to say, hey, he could beat Tank or give him a real set of competition. Not at all. And so what happened? Cherry pick. And then it was a cherry pick gone wrong when the performance took place. But we knew what Lamont Roach was being talked about and seen as. I knew what I saw him as before that fight. That's the thing. We want to see somebody against him that is already pre-established and certified. We know this brother is a dog without having Tank as the unfold. That's the type of elite skill set I have been waiting to see him go against. Again, since Pedraza and when he fought Isak Cruz, when he picked him up. Frank Martin, I thought it was going to be that road, but again, fizzled out afterwards. And everybody got disappointed. Now we're on the road to getting those answers with these types of names. There's a bunch of people that can beat him. There's a bunch of people that right now, with Tank looking the most vulnerable he's ever looked in his career. Now at a division where we have been saying there are real killers up here. This is the stiffness of competition that without Tank there, they've all made and established a respect and validation of what their skill set is. And now when Tank, if he does fight against Isak Cruz, and if he does go and fight at 140, now it's not a question of just, oh, who can beat Tank? But now it's also, hey, Tank, these folks were good before you got here. And some have gotten better since you were around their same spot. And so I dare say this is the first time that this division, for some people, for a lot of people, is an uphill battle. Not saying it's a battle that Tank can't win. We know it's talent. But it's an uphill battle that now, for the first time, I think in Tank's career at 140, he's looking up at a division, at an entirety of a division. It's like, oh, okay, we have real work to do, where it's not just a given, unlike it was in previous years, because of this seen or perceived drastic gap of competition that between him and everybody else except for maybe one or two people. Even at 130, 135, or 140. Now, for a lot of people, without Tank, like I said, we got to see the skill sets and really understand this makeup of this division is steep. And it is a dangerous place. Now with Tank in here, it's not just who can beat Tank. Now the question is somewhat changed. Who can Tank beat? If you still say everybody, perfectly fine. But the connotations around that question is now Tank isn't the unbeatable force that everybody else has to face off against. Now it's Tank going up against the force of the division. Shoes on the other foot in some regard, which again, he can still do it. He can do it. Be clear. He can do it. I don't think he can beat Shakur Stevenson. But he can beat everybody else. Because we know his talent. He can beat Lamont Roach in the rematch, though it would be a real test. He can beat Isaac Cruz in the rematch. He can. He can't. Dalton Smith would be a very interesting matchup, but he can beat him. Gary Russell, some people say he won't fight him. Some people say he will. But that type of combination and that type of speed and power coupled against a power and methodical approach in terms of Tank Davis with hand speed and explosiveness to boot would be an interesting matchup. He can win, but again, it's not a given, which is great. That's not bad. At least in my opinion, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. But it's going to take that type of run to get to, for me, that top 10 level in the world of boxing. You'll say he never fight. Well, he may never fight. But I don't. If he really goes about the work, I think he might fight him. He might. But let me see. I really hope he does. Because if he does, man, it can be great. Let me see. Tank is 30-0, 20 KOs. I think he deserves more respect. And that's fine. I think, and Love King, I think the disrespect. Well, let me rephrase that. Excuse me. There's a difference. Also, excuse me. Hold on. Let me grab back to eat. Let me grab back to eat real quick because I need some energy for this type of call. Hold on. Wait a minute. Okay, there we go. Okay. I just had to bite something. I'm trying to keep my energy up for the show. But I think there's a difference in disrespect and I think there's there's a difference in disrespect and criticism when it comes to talking about Gervonta Davis. I'm not disrespecting his skill set. I'm not disrespecting him as a fighter, what he is. The criticism of what Tank had done throughout his career, in my opinion, was warranted because of the lack of, again, around the same vicinity, who is comparable to you when it comes to their talent. Who did you fight? When you fought them, not after you fought them, when you fought them, how good were they? For me, this did not mean that I'm saying that Tank can't fight or that he isn't a dog or whatever. Even with the last performances of Lamont Roach in the minds of a lot of people, myself included, I know it's real what his skill set is. What I'm saying is Tank now has the ability to do the one thing I've been asking him to do against me, which is shut me up when it comes to criticizing how you move and how you go about walking through your career against the people that we have been saying we want to see you fight against. Shut me up. Prove me wrong. Make it so that I am no longer the person that can say, hey, Tank hasn't done ... Make me out to be somebody that has to eat his own words. Because I know you can do X, Y, Z. You can become a champion. You can fight against the best. You can fight against all 4 people at 140 right now. You can fight against Shakur Stevens. You can potentially beat Shakur Stevens. You can. You can go through undisputed at 140. You got 6 fights at this division that would sell. 2 of them be rematches. And a third of them, 3 of them, Isak, Lamont, Shakur. Great work with storylines to boot. Grudge matches, or rather, finality to show, okay, I truly am the better man. And ultimately, again with Shakur, the end all be all, okay, if you want to say that you're pound for pound the best boxer in the land, and you want to really prove that point, beat him. You have that road to do that and make it so that all this criticism can be quelled. But it's up to you and how you move. And again, this fight with Isak is just like what I said when he fought Frank Martin. This can be the start of that run to finally give the fans exactly, or to Tank's fans and even just casual people, the validation of what his true greatness can be. Because I've said I know what he can be. I said he can go conquer multiple divisions. He could do a similar thing to what Roberto Duran did and compete way above his own weight class and still be successful. I've said that. I want to see it, and he's got a chance to show it. I just want it to be made possible. But we also can't get away from, when we're talking about Tank, where Tank has positioned him, as well as where Tank's fans have put him at. And not just like average, I'm talking about like people that detract from others to make their fighter look better. It's been unfair. And it has somewhat diminished the greatness that we've seen these other champions be able to uphold. Rippling across eras. Again, mind you, remember, Naoya Inoue, people were saying, even to this day, he is not good up until he fights Tank. Yet, you can say that people like, fighting at 140, it's too big for Tank to compete it. But you saying that you ain't great unless you fight him. But then when we say you should fight this guy, you're saying, fans are saying he's too big. He's too tall. It's unfair. That's not where he's naturally a 135 pounder. Why would you want that to happen? You're just trying to hate. Again, you see the discourse online. It's changed over the years. It has changed over the years, but it still has been a prevalent factor. This gives us the opportunity to quell all that. More than just a one-time thing with Mario Barrios, which again was a great win. One of the better wins of his entire career. Absolutely. But this has a chance to compound on that in an even more impressive way by going through the ring. With, again, the ultimate goal of Shakur being at the end of the road. And if he goes through that, oh my gosh, that would be incredible. That would be phenomenal. I would love it. I would absolutely love it. And his record is incredible. His power is incredible. He's undefeated. Nothing about that is in question. We just want to see, just like we had talked about with Boots Ennis years ago before this fight with Virgil Ortiz was coming through, we want to see somebody in your same Venn diagram that can beat you. And you beat him and then, oh, okay, boom, yeah. Okay, everything we said about him is true. And with Tank at this division, a bunch of people can fit that mold. Now I'm excited for it. Let me see, Daryl Anderson, how you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show with us on today. Let me see what you got to say as we're talking through this show. Did you see the press conference with Inoue and Junto? So crazy enough, Daryl Anderson, I wasn't able to view it because some reason he kept saying that your country doesn't allow for this content to be shown. So I wasn't able to see it. So I had to go through and watch clips about it over the course of Twitter and social media. And even some of those videos, because of where it was filmed, was region locked. Why? I have no clue. But even still, what I could get is that both of them are ready for this fight. Shaking hands, posing with each other, both in black suits, looking like stinking Agent 47s, James Bonds, walking all across the building. I loved it. I was excited because now the big kahuna of events we are now going to get. And we're going to touch on it. We're again, give me a little bit. We're going to switch gears and touch on that fight. But this fight is going to be one of the most quintessential great, not even quintessential great, the best all Japanese war we've seen. At minimum, the biggest fight in Japanese history. I'm firmly of the belief that it's going to be like that. They already got tickets on. They already have put out the pricing on tickets. They already have. And crazy enough, it's actually decently affordable. Which, if that was over here in the States, good God, it would have been 10,000. Good Lord, 20, 30, 6 just to sit in the nosebleeds. Again, I don't know how the I think it's yen. I don't know how the yen translates to dollars. Well, I know it's going to be selling out, and I can't wait to see it. It's going to be so exciting. Let me see. Also, Truth, what's going on with you? How you doing? What's good with you? Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you coming in on the show. Please leave a like on the stream. Keep on commenting your thoughts and opinions. Oh, I almost forgot to set my goal. Hold on. Wait a minute. Hour 2. The show. Oh yeah, we gotta do the chat goal. Yeah, the super chat goal. I'm still learning about stuff on YouTube. I'm trying to test all this stuff and see if it works or not. But either way, regardless of which, we got a new cut. We got a new hairdo. I'm looking clean and pristine. I look like a doggone samurai's knife done cut through. I'm talking about sharp like iron. It is incredible. I look great. I feel great. Hopefully y'all feel great. I know you look phenomenal behind the scenes. And if you don't feel good, hopefully I'm making your day just a little bit better and a little bit more enjoyable. That's at least the best I can do. Let me see. Glanton by stoppage. Again, I don't think Glanton's going to get, if Glanton does get this upset, I will be shocked to Kingdom Come. But I strongly feel that we're going to see, I believe it's Glanton versus Jaya Patai, correct? Who's fighting this week? Is that fight is this weekend, right? Let me check real quick. That fight is this weekend. Correct. It should be this weekend. It's the date. Yeah, because okay, yep, there we go. It is, yep, it is this weekend on Sunday. Good gosh, it's 6. Oh, that ain't bad. Oh, what's that? It's gonna be at 10:30. I ain't gotta be up in the afternoon, or even worse, in the like 5 in the morning to watch this fight over. It's either in New Zealand or Australia, as it commonly is done. That's great. That's good. That's dope. Okay, I can work with that. I can work with that. Hey, I can work with that. But even still, it's no. Actually, somebody actually brought up a good thing. In reference to Zuffa boxing and this whole situation with Jaya Patai. Zuffa just got counterband Jaya Patai, and now Eddie Hearn done signed Tom Aspinall as his manager up against the UFC, or in the UFC, going to negotiate against Dana White. There's a lot of tit for tat going back and forth. You take my guy, I take yours. We're going to talk about that later on in the show, absolutely. Because it's getting juicy up in here. I'm telling you, it's getting exciting in the world of the business of boxing and combat sports. And it's a lot to talk about. But let me see. Jesus Flores, what's going on with you? Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. How are you doing? How's your day? How's your people? How's your mentals? Hopefully everything is A-okay with everybody in the chat. And keep on chatting and responding. And please keep on liking the stream. One like does a world of difference. Please like the stream. It helps us out immensely to be able to go and make the show seen by the globe around the world. Absolutely. Let me see. Don't know if you talked about it yet. If not, Pitbull and Haney. Don't know if you talked about it yet. If not, Pitbull and Haney fights Rolly and beats him. How does Haney versus Pitbull? Oh, okay. If Haney beats Rolly and Pitbull, again, if reportedly, allegedly right now, Pitbull is in discussions to fight Tank Davis. If he wins that fight, or if that fight just falls through outright and we get Haney, who is in talks to fight Rolly Romero, serious talks right now to fight Rolly Romero. Haney gets over that win, and then he takes a fight with Isaac Cruz. Who wins? I think I'm picking Haney to win that fight because Haney could do the same thing that Valenzuela did against Isaac Cruz, but in a better fashion, in a cleaner fashion. He's a quicker fighter. He's a longer fighter. He is, to be honest, he is also a stronger fighter as a physical specimen, especially at 147 right now. Again, I don't know if Isaac Cruz would move up to 147 if he hasn't. I don't think he's moved up to 147. If I'm wrong, excuse me. But if Isaac Cruz moved up to 147, though he is incredibly stocky and strong, I think with the fully fleshed out physicals that we see with Devin Haney right now, Haney would be too fast, too long from a reach perspective, and too agile with his footwork to have to be able to touch him. In all honesty, he would do what Valenzuela was able to adapt to by the times like round 7 and on in the fight, in his fight. Devin Haney would do in round 1 because Haney is not letting those steamroll of hooks that we see Isaac Cruz throw. He's not letting those land. Even he's not even gonna let those get close to his vicinity. The body shots, yeah, they could take effect, but also Devin Haney would just clinch up. Now, I will say, Isaac Cruz fighting in the clinch of Devin Haney would be a very interesting matchup to see. Because then, just like with Lomachenko, when he was able to work on the inside of the clinch against Devin Haney stopped clinching, just started digging downstairs to the body, and it became an outright all inside war. Now, you can argue Haney is more physically able than he was at 135 in that fight with Lomachenko because of the better weight that fits him at 147. So it might be that, hey, he's able to hold his own even better and be even better at controlling the clinch against Isaac Cruz. But that would be the one thing that would give me there might be a way, slim chance, but it's a way that Isaac Cruz can win. But most likely, I'm taking Devin Haney winning that. I'm taking Devin Haney winning that probably by unanimous decision. I don't think Isaac gets around in that fight, and it's simply because that style matchup it's a nightmare for Isaac Cruz. That's a nightmare for Isaac Cruz, and it would be Isaac will be relentless now. But unlike with Lamont Roach, Devin Haney is not even going to attempt to sit in the mid-range with Isaac at all. Not at all. Lamont made that fight exciting because he was willing to say, I'm going to stay right here with him. Then tell him, okay, now I'm a box and move. But also, I'm going to stay right here and try to catch and shoot and counter all that stuff, the same thing I did to Tank. Now, when it wasn't working, he started boxing a little more. And then Isaac had to adapt and do all that stuff. And he actually tried to dance and move and use footwork, which something I had never seen him use in a standpoint of helping to win the outside war. Never saw him do that. But with Devin Haney, it's not even going. He won't even attempt to go on the inside. He will simply box him. Simply box. Let me see. Dale Anderson, I can give you the link. Hey, put the link in the chat if you got it for the interview, and I would love to see it. Now I don't know if I got the right to show it on here. At least show it in this whole totality. Because I'm not trying to get copyright stricken, but I can definitely watch it. I can definitely see it. I would love to have it on the thing. And also thank you, Truth, like we verified. Sunday is the day that we would see that fight take place and happen. And so very exciting in terms of the Jai Patai versus Glanton fight. But the last thing I'll say on Tank's comeback. Tank versus Isaac Cruz is a fight that the public now, it is in the leading contention to happen. One, do we think that Tank's going to win? I think Tank would beat Isaac Cruz again. Now, when it comes to at 140, the competitive fervor, will it be an even closer stint or will it be even more extenuated? I have no clue. In all honesty, I have no clue which type of fight we will get from Isaac and Tank. Because the one thing about that fight, remember, Tank had a broke hand in the middle of that fight at 135. He still won it. He won it with one hand. But I think he broke it halfway through and still won the fight. But that's part of the reason why the fight was as competitive. It doesn't take away from the performance on either end of the spectrum, because it was a great fight. But hand was broke. Both hands healthy going up against Isaac Cruz now. Makes a very interesting situation. And this is the one situation, we don't talk about triangle theory. But Lamont Roach drawing with Tank, drawing with Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz having a competitive fight with Tank at 135. That demographic of, I got these specific skills to maybe give you some trouble. Not saying it's going to tell absolutely, oh yeah, he's going to struggle again. But it could be that there's some connection there. Could be. Could. Very big emphasis on could. I guarantee. So because of that, it could be interesting. But all I know is within a year, we could get two rematches that we've been asking for multiple years. Tank versus Isaac first. Tank versus Lamont Roach second. If Lamont Roach beats William Zepeda, momentum going into that fight for a rematch happening in the November. If we're going to go about a 2-fight-a-year normal situation, November, December, we can get a rematch between those two. That's some interesting, hey, talk about matchmaking. That would put, but again, I want you to imagine, and then we're moving on and we'll talk about Inoue after this. But I just want you to imagine that this is the fight cards of the year. I want you to imagine that if all this happens, this is what the fight year could look like. We started off with Shakur versus Teofimo Lopez. Then we get Zerto Ramirez versus Dave Benavidez for the title at cruiserweight. The same morning, we get Inoue versus Nakatani, both on May 2nd for the undisputed title. Nakatani versus Inoue, undisputed title. Whichever way you put it. Biggest fight in Japan. One of the biggest fights made with the all-Mexican war, Benavidez versus Ramirez. Along with that, Tank versus Isaac Cruz. Same year, Tank versus Lamont Roach. While also having Haney versus Deroli, and potentially then Haney versus Ryan Garcia later on this year, or even dare I say Ryan Garcia versus Shakur. And then winner of that potentially fights Devin Haney at 147 for his belt. If we saw that fight transpire first, because both Haney and Shakur are 140-pound champions, and because we see that fight with Devin Haney and Rolly potentially now being the most forefront conversations, well, Ryan's got to go somewhere, and Shakur still wants to fight. So guess what? Both of them ain't been ducking smoke. Might as well get it on with each other. Both of those fights could lead to two of the best technical fighters in the world, Devin Haney versus Shakur, going at it, or Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, 147 rematch of the ages that we've been waiting on for a number of years. That we thought was getting ready to happen next. And now we get our confirmation. Couple that with the fact that, oh, by the way, with Tank also coming back, we could also get at 140 Tank versus Tia as a huge fight that could transpire off the backs of a loss with Shakur Stevens. Even though Tio said, yeah, I'm moving up to 147, guarantee he come back down for that fight. He come back down, or at least do a catch weight. There's a smorgasbord of opportunities just within these divisions alone. With Raymond Murataya also in the picture. With Oshaki Falsa potentially coming into the picture. At least at 135 coming into the picture. And Murataya coming up to 140, hypothetically. There's a buzz right now. Hey, look, there's a little bit of a buzz in the air. Electricity all around the atmosphere right now. And it can be exciting to see, no question about it. I can't wait to see it and witness it. Absolutely. We still got more in the show that we can cover. It's still the championship rounds, so you all are still controlling the whole of the conversation. But as we're going through now, we got to talk about the big kahuna, the big fight that has been now officially confirmed. Nakatani versus Inoue is officially official. As for some people, they say they don't believe a fight up until the press conference happens. Well, now the press conference has transpired, and it is going to be guaranteed. Inoue going up against Nakatani for the undisputed super bantamweight championship of the world in a huge fight with magnificent proportions of not just outright talent, but complete and utter disregard for human life from the perspective of each of them going to war with each other for bragging rights in not just the defining era of this generation, but also in all of, arguably in all of Japanese history, etching your name as one of their greatest fighters they have ever produced, bar none. And potentially, don't forget, pound for pound ramifications of that fight are humongous of what can transpire. We can see this fight, depending on if we see Nakatani get blown out the water by Inoue, but that could put Inoue at number one. Because literally, he would have knocked off every single major op, including his non-negotiable, in a way that we had seen from only the likes of Terrence Crawford in this current day and age in boxing, where you went and cleaned out the entirety of everybody that was competitive towards you, as well as made it completely one-sided in this regard, where it wasn't a debate or discussion of which you won. Ridiculous. Insane. Well, I almost want to say unheard of, but again, we saw somebody do it before. We saw somebody do it before in Terrence Crawford. Would be insane. If Nakatani beats Inoue, oh my gosh, it wouldn't just be an upset, but that propels him immensely up to the pound for pound rankings, as well as, I mean, shoot, that like, the stuff, the matchups we have to change now from the perspective of who we could see fight. Now him versus Bam becomes a huge topic of discussion, gets all the money, all the fame and all that stuff. He potentially moves up to 126 if he doesn't stay at 122 and goes through, well, maybe not immediately moves up to 126, but the road now would look to say Nakatani is the man to beat in at 126. We want to see him against the likes of Espinoza, the likes of Leo, excuse me. We wouldn't see him against the likes of Brandon Figueroa, which I was going to say Nick Ball, but yeah, Nick Ball got beat and got knocked out by, knocked through the ropes, by Brandon Figueroa. Now, Figueroa is one of the big kahunas that everybody's trying to witness and see, or maybe they might not want problems with him at 126, but regardless of which, it's a bunch of stuff that the anticipation, the salivating unease of the public because of this fight, it's huge. I, for one, can't wait to see it. And again, if you didn't get to see the press conference, I can show it to you right now. Here's both of them shaking hands, going through. Again, the one holds all the gold, other one, and you see the towering height difference, and you also understand this was the same perspective in difference. Not indifference in terms of like deadpan expression. Difference from the perspective, height and reach. What Inoue did against Picasso. Picasso was the same dimensions, height, and reach-wise that Nakatani is in this very picture. Same height. Relatively the same reach. And maybe an inch taller, inch shorter. But this may look like a very menacing challenge from a dimension standpoint. And it is. Especially with the productivity that we see with Nakatani at 118, shooting at 115, before coming up to 122. Oh yeah, detrimental. One of the greatest left hands we got in boxing right now. The literal, to go with the theme of what they had with the Ring magazine last year, or with the Ring when they were both on the card with the Year of the Samurai. The literal samurai sword, that is that left straight. It is a demonstrative weapon that can go, especially against a shorter fighter, and cut you up. Literally, cut your head up. As well as just coming down straight when it comes to landing with a power shot with the reach. We saw, you see a long torso, long arms. The brother seems like he's only got a certain length of range. Next thing you know, he's reaching across the ring. How the world did he land it? Surprising the public and still carrying leverage to boot. putting people out and is willing to go, forget going to war, this brother will go and do exactly what Deontay Wilder said he wants to do. Die on his shield. He'll do it. He would do it, and he would do it. And in this fight, he gonna have to. Going up against him across the ring is Nakatani, a man, I don't care what color hair he's got. I don't care what type of trunks he's got on. I don't care what in the world his sentiments may be from the perspective of clothes and color, which again, all of them fantastic. This brother comes in, all he sees is red because he is a demonstrative puncher. Well, forget demonstrative. He is one of the greatest knockout artists that we have in the world today, as well as on top of that, being one of the best boxers that the world has to offer from a technical perspective. Everything about him is nearly flawless. Nearly. It ain't glazed. That's the truth. If you watched him, and we've watched him multiple times, yeah, this brother is as close to a perfect fighter as you can make. Even with the chances that he takes as a boxer. He's been knocked down and got back up. He got a heart, got chin. Fought through a broken orbital bone. Went through the ringer against multiple divisions. 4-division champion. 2-time undisputed. Became undisputed in less than a year. Right after Crawford won undisputed against Errol Spence Jr. Second man in history to become 2-time undisputed in 2-weight class. And again, did it in less time than it took Terrence Crawford. Has beaten the biggest, baddest, and best at his division, at a division below, and a division below that, and a division below that. Has walked through competition in a way that has only seen the same dominance of the likes of Terrence Crawford in today's age. Yes, that is not, or Usyk. That's it. Or Canelo before, again, going up to 168 and starting to have some, I don't want to say lackluster, but not as impressive performances. And even in at 154 or at the early days of 160, was still having close fights. Though he was facing up against, again, good competition. It was only Lar, Amir Khan, going through Gennady Golovkin 3 times. Understand, not diminishing it. I'm just saying, for those of you who know 122, Marlon Tapales, Diego Higa, even Takeki at what was it, 115, 118? No, I'm sorry, Takeki, I think it's a bigger, I think Takeki is a little bit bigger of his weight class. But even still, regardless of which, from that 126 on down, if you know those divisions, they got some hitters. Everybody will want to scrap. Everybody loves to scrap. From all walks of life, creed, or notions. They got it. And he was able to go ahead and show us about the rest. And even amongst the smaller weight classes, turn himself into a household name for the world and global public appeal, which is incredibly hard to do. This man's something different. And for this fight with Inoue and Nakatani, it's going to be a clash of, not just a clash of styles, it's going to be a clash of wills. Because this is, just like we've seen, or just like we were going to see from Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Canelo Alvarez, and David Benavidez, or even Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford. When it came to two fighters at their peak, going and facing off, and it's like there's a difference in not just rhetoric that we talk about the fight, but a difference in the connotations, the importance. It's hinged because there are no others. It's like we have with the Four Kingdoms, those Hagler, Hearns, Duran, and Leonard. There were, even with Aaron Pryor and a bunch of other people that were in those divisions as well, which were incredible. Don't get me wrong. I think Aaron Pryor was in there. I believe. Regardless of which, again, fact check me if I'm wrong. There was nobody else once they had done everything against everybody. It wasn't. It was the definitive end-all be-all. It wasn't just what the public wanted. It was almost a superimposed force dragging both of them together that everybody could clearly see that when these two go at it, there isn't just going to be an answer. There's going to be a statement of it's going to be a moment in time. It's going to be more than just a big time fight. It's bigger than just, oh, this is a huge event. In the same way that, again, AJ and Fury was going to be defining for UK boxing in its whole history of existence. Mind you, that's where we got to see Quisenberry rules come into effect. Bare knuckle boxing could start on the way over in the UK. We are that type of monumental, earth-shaking type of sentiment. Usyk and Fury, when they were finally going to fight each other. That type of overwhelming, something's about to shake. Something's about to move. Something's about to change for the standard of this sport. In some way, shape, or form. It's going to be like that. A super fight of super fights. A mega fight of mega fights. It's going to be preposterous. Ridiculous. And I'm trying to glaze it, but I'm just trying to, we're here now. In a situation where we oftentimes, at least before the most recent turn of the boxing tenure, when we're now getting big fights on a better occasion, we weren't getting this type of stuff. And thank gosh we are. Because we're going to be witnessing history. And I can't wait for it. I'm so excited. It's blowing my mind with this still going down. And I'm telling you this, we're going to be covering it every single chance we get from the perspective of breaking down the fights, breaking down the quintessential mindsets, skill sets, game plans, and the like. Oh, we're going to have a blast on this channel talking about it all. And I still want to hear from you all in your opinions of who's going to win. Now, I'll pick Inoue early on. I'll pick him early on. But Lord knows as we see some training go about, as we see the fight get closer, stuff can change, as we've seen multiple times before. So I can't wait to hear from you all's thoughts and opinions. And I can't wait to hear my own as we continue to go through and talk about these fights. But still, we want to hear the championship rounds. We're in the championship rounds, excuse me. We still want to hear from you in regards to everything involving the world of sports, everything involving the world of boxing. We still want to hear your thoughts and opinions on the public sentiments involving whether it's Tank Davis returning, whether it's whether it's talking about with the whole, I don't want to say debacle, drama unfolding with Zuffa Boxing. Statements from the UFC fighters. Shoot, even if you want to talk about the UFC, we don't talk about it a lot. We can talk about it now, because, buddy, that UFC card just got announced, I believe. Unless I got trolled. That UFC card just got announced. And everybody's excited for it because it's a huge event. Alex Pereira versus John Jones. Again, if I'm wrong, if all this is uncorroborated, please correct me. Because I saw this now, and I was trying to make sure it was real. And if it is real, then we got ourselves a banger of a card. Because again, it's Ilya Tapor versus Majmov. Not Majmov. Ilya Tapor versus Makhachev. Reportedly, they're going to get Conor McGregor versus Chandler. John Jones versus Alex Pereira. And that's just three of the bigger 6-card heavy hitters that are going to be on the docket. And if that's the case, boys, it's going to be absolutely insane. And I can't wait to see it. But even with that being said, and yes, here I'll even show you. Here's the card for those of you who are invested in the UFC. This is what's going down on the docket as reportedly the White House made a bid. I don't know if this is wrong or not, but if this is right, this is about to be huge, major, absolutely insane. If this is indeed what's going to be happening at that White House event. Now, again, stuff changed over. This is all fake. Please excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to report on what I've been finding, and I'm just trying to give you as much information as possible. The Lord knows I can be wrong, but I'm trying not to be. I am not. But even still, as with Zuffa, and somebody had brought this up actually earlier in the chat or earlier in the show, Zuffa Boxing right now has been in a lot of drama and a lot of turmoil, especially when the war against or with boxing, alongside with getting Jai Patai, him fighting Glanton, going for the Zuffa and Ring Magazine belt. I also don't know if the IBF belt is on the line for that fight. That's another big question. That's another big question. Is the IBF belt on the line for that fight? We heard reports saying that the IBF, that he was going to be forced to either drop the IBF or drop the Zuffa belt in terms of which belt he's going to defend on the night. I'm not exactly sure. I saw all the press tour and I saw the whole poster for the fight. I saw the Ring Magazine belt. I saw the Zuffa boxing belt. I did not see the IBF belt. Is the IBF belt on the line for this fight against Glanton, or is it no longer on the line? Let me see. If somebody can answer that for me, I would love some help on that regard. But let me see. Daryl Anderson, I heard that Inoue said he knows that what Junto is going to do better than his last fight, and he's going to keep his guard up. It was auto-dubbed, so I could be wrong. If that, let me read that. I heard that Inoue said that he knows what Junto is going to do to be better in his better than his last fight. He's going to keep his guard. Well, he bet. You have to understand. Again. We're like I said, we're in the championship rounds. We can ebb and flow, move and shift and change and all that stuff. We love it and we appreciate it and want to keep on the conversation going. So please keep on chatting the stream and keep on sharing the show. No question about it. Hit the like if you haven't already. But Inoue is being that's right. Objectively, that is right. And if that is the best translation of what he has said, then he is thinking correctly. Because I'm of the volition, we are not going to see that Nakatani fight like that again. One, because he's not fighting somebody like Hernandez anymore. Again, Hernandez got an ironclad chin. And that fight, or that type of opponent, is a nightmare for anybody to face off against. And he was having great success up until he started walking through stuff. And he just kept on gaining more stamina. Didn't make any sense at all. But he has now gotten a real taste, even if it's in a very severe capacity. You got a taste of what it's like now, 122. This is why I say, and I've said this since I started this channel, just because it is a 4-pound weight difference does not mean that it is a small difference in what the competition is and exactly what the impact of that weight is. It's a big deal. 4 pounds. It's more than you think. And Nakatani got a clear glimpse. Yeah, this ain't 118. He better be different. And Inoue knows it. And this is why, like I said, I like that the fight is in May, because it gives Inoue real time to recover from all of the 4 fights that he had back to back over in 2025. Because he's going to need to be as well rested as possible. If I'm Inoue, I am not taking any chances at all. And he isn't either, because he understands he's been watching this fight from afar for a number of years. This has not been just a new brand of, okay, the challenge is finally here. Not saying he's overlooked anybody, but this has been the end-all be-all. In the same way that we see Benavidez get asked about Canelo on a constant basis, people ask about Nakatani on a constant basis when it comes to questioning Inoue. This has been the fight that up until this point, his career has been building up to since the fight with Nonito Donaire. After that fight with Nonito Donaire, this was the building fight that the world kept on fabricating, accumulating interest in, putting their shekels in the pot, letting their imagination run wild over, letting the world see that, hey, this fight is more than just a fight. And so Inoue cannot let his guard down, let alone can he afford to take him lightly. Because Nakatani, yeah, you can't be guns blazing on the inside, throwing uppercuts up right and center. You still want to be active, but at the same breath, if you go in the way that you went, especially against somebody like Inoue, yeah, you can get knocked out real quick. You can get knocked out real quick in there. You can get knocked out to the point that all of a sudden now you are out on your feet. Because Inoue's a harder puncher than Hernandez. Inoue can go stamina just like with Hernandez. Nakatani understands that the mistakes I made and the damage I incurred against Hernandez, if I do that against Inoue, I am not seeing the end of the fight. He knows that for a fact. He knows that for a fact. He knows that for a fact. And you know what? Because, again, we've said this with other fighters. We can say this about Inoue as well.
And he floats like a butterfly and hits like a tree.
That's what he does. He can move. He can box. He can slip your punches. He can outthink you. He can beat range as the smaller fighter. He can go and expose everything about where your biggest strengths are and turn them into the very weaknesses that cause your downfall. He did it with Stephen Fulton. He did it with the likes of Picasso. Ahmadali, though again I think he was the taller fighter in that fight by a little bit in terms of Inoue, he still nixed him. Cardenas, he did it against them. He turned their biggest strengths into the exact thing that put them out. The range of Stephen Fulton, he turned that into not just a jab fest, but a lulling practice to set him up for the overhand right that inevitably caused the beginning of the end. Cardenas, he went through and he got caught with the hook. He got knocked down with the hook. I thought he had gotten knocked out with that hook, but it got up and he kept on staying right at the edge of that hook and up the aggression, enticing Cardenas to continue to throw, not just to gas himself out, but to continue to evade. And once he got the range down packed, started leaning with his hands down, still making it, still keeping hope alive. All I need is one more and I'm going to go and get this win. And he inevitably worked Cardenas' best weapon into the ground, which led to counter-win those openings and ultimately getting the knockouts left, right, and center and putting him to sleep. That's what he did. He was able to do it. Marlon Tapales, he turned Marlon Tapales' aggression against him, obliged to go to war with him and beat him at his own game. Louis Neary, that left hook, he turned that left hook into the biggest weapon to go and beat him with. What happened? Caught him with a short hook of his own to knock him down at the start of round 2, and then afterwards kept on blocking and countering that left hook and ultimately landed a shotgun right hand that looked like he got shot in the head when Louis Neary went down and got KO'd. All off the basis of turning your best weapon into your biggest weakness. Again, Terrence Crawford did that same thing. Look at the fight with Errol Spence Jr., the same fight with Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence was coming through and had a left hand all the way from the underworld. That left hand of his at the southpaw was so damaging to the body and to the head. But he overextended. Crawford caught onto it, and from the first round, turned that left straight into the best opening for Crawford to counter, demoralize, beat up, and absolutely destroy Errol Spence Jr. in what I've said before was one of the greatest one-sided beatdowns boxing's ever seen this side of George Foreman versus Joe Frazier. And I hate bringing that fight up because, again, I love Joe Frazier. He's my favorite fighter of all time. I love George Foreman as well. But, like, pain, I still can't watch that fight. But it's like, that's what he did. That's what he did. And he was so good at it. That's why this type of sentiment of Nakatani better be ready is so important. Because if you don't have multiple different plans of attack and multiple different wells to delve into, you will dry up the well that you're using quicker than you expect, not just because you are trying to rely on it, but because Inoue is siphoning that water into his own well, and you don't even realize up until it's too late. And then by that point, you're in a drought. That's what he does, what he's so good at. That's what people don't talk about. But that's what his skills as a fighter are. And it's incredible. And so Junto better be ready. Because in a way, this isn't just speak. This isn't just him talking just to talk. This is the truth of the matter. This is the reality of the situation when it comes to Inoue. He knows Nakatani ain't going to be the same. And Nakatani better not be the same. Because if he is the same, it's going to be a worse performance than what we saw against Hernandez. It will be. It will be. At its best, it can be one of the best fights of this year. One of the best fights in the last 5 years. At its worst, Inoue can knock out Nakatani in 5 rounds. And that's not me that's not me being hyperbolic. He can knock him out in 5 rounds. If it goes bad. Because Nakatani cannot be the same. He can't. Because if he is, he's going to be in trouble. He's going to be in some real trouble. But even still, championship rounds, conversations abounding with you as the public eye. Still want to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything. Before we got on Inoue, we're talking about Zuffa. And again, Zuffa taking all this stuff between the fights and fighters, money, arguments abounding, Dana White not paying people, Dana White taking counterband, Dana White taking Jai Patai, Eddie Hearn signing Tom Aspinall as his fighter, as a manager, now within the UFC. So essentially, Eddie Hearn's working both fences now. Insane. Now, what this means is a very dangerous situation for the UFC. Why? I will even let the likes of Israel Adesanya tell you why this can get very bad very quickly for the world of the UFC as a whole. Where's that? Yeah, let me see. Let me make sure y'all can see it. Y'all can't see it. Hold on a minute. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay, here we go. Mind you, this is Israel Adesanya. Mind you, he hasn't fought anybody in a long time. But still, he is an influential voice that has the public speaking with this whole dilemma involving UFC versus boxing and the whole dynamic of Zuffa potentially doing more harm than good for the bigger ecosystem of Dana White's world of combat sports.
You've proved it to them. So now, again, Zuffa is the next challenge. Zuffa boxing is the next challenge that he set his eyes on. But with that being said, don't forget he started in boxing, of course, but what brought you to the game? This is what got him to be the name Dana White, the UFC president, is this. So I can see why the other fighters, I'm trying to think, how do I feel? Wait, do I feel jaded by it? But I understand, we know these guys are top class boxers. They're the best in the world at what they do, but so are we. This is the UFC. And if one guy can command that kind of money for one fight, and that's from the same company, Zuffa, and this is what's been keeping the lights on, is the UFC. We love ultimate fighting, not limited fighting. I don't feel jaded, but I'm like, I want 15 million for one fight too.
Oh, I mean, if you guys are taking kicks to the head and
not even, just saying,
30 billion.
Okay, the bonuses is going up, but that's not guaranteed.
No, that's a drop in the ocean.
Exactly, but that's not even guaranteed.
I'm telling you, I said this, Eddie Hearn said this, and I'm not siding with anybody as promoter. I don't care when it comes to promoters. I just want the great fights to happen. But I'm all about the fighters. And the fighters, I said this was going to be a very bad situation. And he even brought up a fact that isn't even a whole totality of a real fact. Conor Benn is getting $15 million for his fight deal, for a one-fight deal with Zuffa. Not even long-term. Jai Patai's going to make a whole bunch of money signing with Zuffa Boxing. Yeah, but again, he might stay I think he's going to stay for multiple fights. But even if it is just for one fight, he's still making more money than anybody in the UFC. You got to understand. All of this is happening. And these two, Jai Patai's more accomplished. But these guys aren't even pound for pound level fighters. Though Jai Patai is very much right on the skirts of it. or close to it. He's a phenomenal fighter. Conor Benn showed enough. With all due respect, he is a good fighter. On some days, he can be a great fighter. But most people would not call him top class. Some people have even nitpicked his career as a whole. Even the win that he had against Eubank was because of the weight drained Eubanks, which again, we've given context to, doesn't take away from the win, but still, as a connotation. Conor Benn has accomplished less in boxing than Israel Adesanya accomplished in the UFC. Mind you, Israel Adesanya knocked out Alex Pereira. He beat one of the baddest brothers in the land, revenging a loss that he had multiple times over, and even in the UFC. He had become middleweight champion of the world, reigned as middleweight champion of the world, was pound for pound in the MMA and in UFC as one of the best fighters in mixed martial arts. Dominant, and had been having success in kickboxing across overseas. But we wanted to stick with the UFC. He accomplished more in that regime. And he wasn't getting paid nearly, and he was one of the, mind you, he was also one of the 3 biggest names in the company. Nay, in combat sports as a whole. Don't forget that. He got the torch from the likes of Anderson Silva at the time that he beat him. It seemed like a passing the torch moment. Would have been the equivalent of John Jones, would have been the equivalent of sticking Roy Jones Jr. fighting Boots Ennis when he got older and passing the torch of, hey, you carry this show now. Type of unique talent. That was the style bender. And he never got that much money. That's one of your biggest cornerstone stars saying that about what's going on right now. Eddie Hearn signing Tom Aspinall is a huge detriment because now he's going to use Tom Aspinall, not in a negative light, but he's going to use him at the negotiation table to show the rest of the public, hey, in terms of the UFC, this brother should be making a lot more. And I promise you, what they just did with the Conor Benn signing, Eddie Hearn's going to use that as a negative negotiation tactic against Dana White to give Tom Aspinall more money and try to reset the entire market of the UFC as a whole. And don't forget, we can also see him try to do this leverage with even more fighters because if you didn't hear, Francis Ngannou just got dropped from his deal with the PFL. In terms of that contract's ended. He won the title, won the belt, fought once, and the contract's now done. He can come back to the UFC though he said he would never do it, if it's under Eddie Hearn as his manager. If he starts accumulating, just like with Dana White gaining a lot of the bigger marketed names in boxing, Eddie Hearn combats that by signing as a manager for a lot of these bigger name UFC fighters. Next thing you know, he can sign. He could get the likes of Francis Ngannou. Now you bring it to the table another big heavy hitter. Hey, we want this type of money, and this star deserves this type of pay, and you ain't gonna undercut him. And then more people can get on the same train. Sean O'Malley talked about it as well. They're getting all this money. And again, they keep using top class fighter, and this is no disrespect. Conor Benn is not a top class fighter in comparison to the UFC perspective of where the biggest stars are getting paid for. Conor Benn is not even one of the biggest stars in his own sport. He's a star. He's a UK phenomenal fighter from the perspective of we respect him. He is somebody that can bring you to the game. He just had a great rivalry. But ranked amongst the rest of the boxing ethos, he is not of that caliber at all. When it comes to top 10 pound for pound, faces of the sport. Not close. And he's getting in the equivalent of face of the sport money for the UFC. That's not flying. They're losing that foothold. Fighters are scared that the very person that is over their livelihood in terms of the UFC is taking them for granted. Like Israel just said, Zuffa's paying $15 million. We fought, when I was champion, I was fighting under Zuffa. Again, if I'm Israel Adesanya. And I didn't get paid nearly that much money. I made a couple million over the course of multiple fights, not for one fight alone. And I was at the top of not just my game, but of the UFC game. Islam Makhachev has beat Volkanovski twice. Pound for pound was number one in the world. He wasn't making nearly as much money. John Jones is seen as the greatest fighter in UFC history. Yet he is not making, even with the paydays that he had, he's not making nearly as much. Conor McGregor had to go to boxing to get the type of money that his stardom deserved because he had eclipsed even the brand. It had become a crossover brand that wasn't just bigger than the UFC, but it was bigger than combat sports as a whole at one point in time. At one point, you couldn't bring up any type of fighting without Conor McGregor or Canelo Alvarez or Floyd Mayweather as a name to recognize. And he wasn't getting even with the $6 million I think he got for the UFC, something along those lines. Good money. Conor been without having an ounce of success close to comparison when it comes to the UFC equivalent of what Conor been, John Jones, Anderson Silva, Kamaru Usman, Israel Adesanya, Alex Pereira, Islam Makhachev, Khabib Nurmagomedov, all of these folks who reigned at the top or near the top of the UFC world for multiple years didn't make a lick of that amount of money. And Zuffa was paying them just like they were paying Conor Ben and now Jai Patel. They're losing trust. They're just losing his own regime's faith. He's losing his own regime's ability to believe in him. Had a phenomenal segment on WWE years ago with what was it, Triple H as a COO while he was still wrestling in one storylines. And it was, do the wrestlers see him as confident enough to run this company? Which is very ironic now. But the segment ended with everybody voting thumbs down, no confidence, and walking away. You are one of us, and we don't trust you to run this show to the better interest of us, the fighters, and you've been wrestlers, and you've been in our literal wrestling shoes, wrestling us as your opponents, and we can't trust you to have our best interest in mind. We can't trust you to run this company. No confidence. Walk away. Very few stay, if any at all. Again, in the storyline. That's where we're at with that. We're getting that bubbling up doubt. Getting that doubt. Because when you see people, in fact, I'll even bring in the picture. When you see people doing this, where's it? When you see pictures like this, when you see stuff like this coming about and you see the public and you see all of a sudden, big smile, somebody who was a UFC champion interim who never got a shot at the title against John Jones and potentially had his career almost derailed with the eye pokes versus Cyril Gahn, who had been campaigning for the big fights and still never got him and still vastly underpaid. Now, you see this? You see that smile? You see this smile? Both of their faces, but specifically Eddie Hearn. This is the chess match that all of a sudden Eddie Hearn just got a big rook or night, whatever thing you want to use, to say, now I'm a part of your table. And I can expose exactly why you've been given crumbs instead of the big time dollars. And if I get it first time, I can gut everything you got by making you pay people what they deserve. And all of a sudden now you can't focus. You gotta focus on your own brand, your own company, UFC as a whole. Because I'm telling you, when it comes to money management, we don't just talk about 100+ years of history when it comes to boxing for anything. That's old money. And now you've given people, in terms of UFC fighters, a taste of that old money. And if these negotiations go bad in terms of for the UFC, it would show that Zuffa has the ability to pay them the same way that the old money that we see in boxing is able to go and still be dished out right now. Y'all can still do for us, even if it's in a minor type of degree. And if Tom Aspinall can't get a deal done with Eddie Hearn as manager, and Zuffa says that you all are asking for too much, but they're still gonna give Conor Ben $15 million, fighters are gonna say, well, bump this. I'm going to just go start boxing. I'll fight on the undercard of a boxing match. Because guess what? Even they're making $750,000. And I'm a bigger name than them. And I'll have people coming over to watch me. I can make at minimum at least $1 million. 1.5, dare I say 2. Just because of my cachet from this sport crossing over. Jake Paul gave him a taste of that with the old money. Because everybody getting paid. What do we say? Nate Diaz made more money in that one fight with Jake Paul in his entire career. 30+ fights with the UFC. Dylan Dennis, even though he's a bum of a fighter in both regards, was able to make more money with an exhibition bout with Logan Paul. If it counted, might as well not have. Anderson Silva, more money in boxing than he ever made in the UFC. And he was the star. The taste of not just power, but the taste of compensation has been seen and now is nearly accessible to the UFC fighters, yet they're not getting the piece of the pie. Or they feel they're not getting the piece of pie, understandably so. And it's going to be a detrimental thing. It's going to be a detrimental thing. Because when they go through, and if these talks don't see Aspinall or others getting a better deal, people are going to say no confidence. And they're going to start saying, yeah, you know what? It's not worth it. They're going to start to say it's not worth it. They will start to say it's not worth it. When they start saying it's not worth it, Dana's got a fire on his hands. That Lord knows, is he going to be able to pull it out? I'm not sure. But genuinely, I am not sure about that at all. But it's going to be interesting to say at least. But even still, we want to hear from you. It's still the championship rounds. We still want to hear your thoughts and opinions on everything involving the world of boxing and beyond. Like I said, we still got time on the show. We're going to go as long or as short as you all want to go. When it comes to the topics of discussion at hand, we got Tank Davis as a comeback fight. If you want to talk about more with him, fighting against Isak Cruz or fighting against Lamont Roach potentially. Can he beat Isak Cruz in dominant fashion? Do you want to see him fight? Who do you want to see him fight against? If you think that Isak Cruz isn't worth the time or muscle to go and rematch him at all with, do you want to just skip straight and fight the likes of Lamont Roach instead of going through and fighting Isak Cruz? Do you want to go in and just say, hey, go for a championship right now? We want to hear your thoughts and opinions on it all. We want to talk more about Inoue and Nakatani, the debate on who's going to win. Or do you think the length and strength of Nakatani will overwhelm the technical precision and speed that we see Inoue have on the table. When do you see this fight ending? How do you see this fight ending on who is going to win? Do you think it'll be a draw outright? Could we see multiple fights between these two in a legitimate rivalry for the ages? All of that we want to hear from you all and so much more. We also got to get Devin Haney fighting Rolly Romero. Do you want to talk about that? If you got the talk, if you've heard the news with Devin Haney and Rolly potentially getting very close to signing a legitimate deal, because up until what I've been hearing, Rolly has been the only person that has sent a full-fledged contract for May 30th, I believe, to have a fight go down. Do you want to see that fight? Is this something you even care about as an event, or do you think it's going to be a complete one-sided affair that, hey, Rolly ain't got no shot with against Devin Haney? Which, to be perfectly clear, I feel that Rolly doesn't have a shot going up against Devin Haney. At 147, I don't think he's got a chance at all. I don't. I'll be completely honest with you. Now, not saying this fight shouldn't happen, because it's for unification. Hey, we're all about getting and unifying the divisions, making it so that it's easier to track who is indeed the one real champion in the world of not just 147, but in all of boxing as a whole. We have no problem with the likes of unifications. We have a problem when it's a fight that people may not be as invested in. And in this situation, it may be that Rolly and Devin are not invested, though it's a fight that could be transpiring. And it's because, mind you, Rolly has been saying for years, Devin is a boring fighter. I don't want to fight Devin Haney at all. In fact, he'd even given his own blessing to say, Ryan, go fight Devin Haney, because Devin Haney deserves to get his revenge against you. Then he was going to fight Giasov, was announced there as a rematch, and now that fight is no longer seemingly, or rather, he's trying to get out of that fight by signing a deal with Devin Haney, which again looks to be almost confirmed. And I'll be the first to say, I don't think this is going to be a competitive affair. I don't know why. Though we saw what Ryan Garcia did against Rolly Romero, that had a lot of people shocked and excited that, oh my goodness, Rolly got better. And he did get better, to be clear. He did get better. He did get better. He did get better. I'm not diminishing that. He did get better as a fighter. However, as I'm taking my drink, what we saw was also in part because Ryan was injured. And it was validated by what we saw afterwards when we saw Ryan fight against Mario Barrios. Knocked him down the first round, came out swinging with his right hand, and consistently throwing everything under the sun and the kitchen sink at Barrios in a one-sided beatdown that was the best performance of his entire career, and had, or outside of the Devin Haney fight, which again, tainted because of PEDs. But still, looked the best we had seen him, and looked eerily similar to that fight with Devin Haney. So now we say, hey, maybe that fight was indeed a potential fluke, and that injury had more to do with it than we thought. Now, still, Ryan Garcia wasn't as great defensively as he was in this fight. Had gotten away from his jab a lot more in that Rolly fight than he did in this fight. He did a lot of things wrong in that fight, which is why I don't discredit the win. Context is just helping to paint the fullest picture as to why that fight happened. But still, Rolly won. And Rolly, like I said, had improved. I even admitted it. But he hasn't improved that good against that type of style. That type of style against Devin Haney is I don't like it at all. Especially since we're seeing somebody in Rolly. He has seemed to be less eccentric, more patient, more methodical, which I said was better for him. His demeanor, his approach, and it all showed in his stylistic appearance in the ring. And then we were saying, hey, he looked good. But now you're doing that against somebody who also is better at you in that regard than everything. He's better than you in that regard. And he's bigger in terms of significantly bigger than what he was at 135 and at 140. At 147, Devin Haney looks like a Debo Dev. Is that not the moniker that's being talked about by him himself? By Bill Haney, Devin Haney, and everybody else on social media? Debo Dev walking down the street, everybody hide your chains, hide your food, hide your wallet, hide everything you can. He's coming. Oh Lord, he's coming. That's what it seems like. with the world looking at Devin Haney. Also, we got people in the chat like Barry. Yo, Barry, what's going on? How you doing? Thank you for tuning in. We're so happy that you're here with us on today. Thank you for showing up. I just got my new fire stick. They can all fight. I'm watching Money Free. And you very well may be. And it might be saving money for you because this fight may not be competitive. All of that I said about Rolly Romero was to say that I don't think him against Devin Haney, this iteration of Devin Haney, is going to be close. I don't think it's going to be close. Rolly Romero, yes, he's explosive. Yes, he's thinking smarter when walking into the ring. Yes, he has retooled and he has improved. He's a champion. But I don't think that the talk of fighting Devin Haney because he was not fighting Devin Haney because he was boring, all of that is the main validity as to why he doesn't want to fight. I don't think he wants to fight because that style and that type of technical proficiency, especially at length and range, he does not want to deal with. He does not want to deal with. It's not just that he'll make the fight boring. I will look bad fighting against him. Now, sure, I can get a bag fighting him. I can go and I can fight him and make more money than the fight with Giasov, and Giasov is a very tough fight as a mandatory with not nearly as much financial upside, and the downside is I lose my belt against somebody that doesn't have nearly the same level of name, cachet, and or monetary value. Why fight him? The smart financial move, as we call it. That could be a very real, not even could be, that is a very real fact. That's exactly why he's calling him. That's exactly why he's trying to all of a sudden change his tune very quickly because he doesn't want to fight Giasov. But the whole reason why he didn't want to fight Devin Haney in the first place was the exact reason why he doesn't want to fight Giasov now. Devin Haney's just worth the time because Devin Haney is now the only big time option. Outside of Ryan Garcia, that is like, okay, hey, I would love to make that fight. I'm surprised he didn't go try to fight Ryan Garcia and call for a rematch for a unification fight. In terms of when now he's starting to make noise and looking to push for an opportunity. Why didn't Rolly say, hey, he should have called me out and I'm going to send him a contract to go and fight me again so I can take his belts and I can go and do what I did again. Make more money, beat somebody who's at the top of his game, and do it while looking good. Just like I did the first time. At least that's a question that I have for him. Regardless of which, the biggest thing. Rolly fighting Devin, that looks like it's going to happen. But it's only because for Rolly, I think that's the only viable means monetarily in Rolly's mind. But it's not going to be a competitive fight. Rolly's got the power to knock him out, sure. Rolly can go dig downstairs to the body, sure. Rolly is explosive enough that, sure, he can go through and catch Devin Haney, close the gap, do some damage to the body, and potentially sneak a shot over the head. Use some of that same success that we saw Brian Norman have in the very late stages of the fight with the Q1 combinations, right hand, left jab combinations, to go through and land on Devin Haney. But most likely, it's not going to be the case. And it's going to be a very one-sided affair. He's strong enough to do some damage. He's strong enough to get his respect. But strictly because he's getting his respect, that's exactly why he is going to go through and get beat. On top of the fact, I don't think with somebody that's confident in their abilities and is able to use everything, again, unlike with Ryan Garcia, not taking away from the victory, but again, unlike with Ryan Garcia, with Devin Haney, who now is confident in what he is as a fighter and has the capacity to use everything without injury. He won't be able to lay a finger on him. He won't be able to lay a finger on him. It can look like Jose Ramirez versus Devin Haney. It can look like pick a Haney fight. Pick one. It can look like Valenzuela versus Isaac Cruz. If you wanted to, pick another fight. It's gonna be that type of. It's gonna be that type of affair. And I don't think he's got a chance to win if he is fighting. But again, it's all because he said he didn't want to fight him. He changed his tune. Now because Giasov, who was being made as a mandatory, is too big of a risk that Bowley doesn't want to take. Or it's too light. It's too much of a risk without the reward financially to want to go and take it. Now, yeah, I'll fight Devin Haney. If he beats him, I'll tell you this, I'll be shocked. If he beats Devin Haney, I will be one of the first to say, hey, Rolly, you know what? You got it. You beat Ryan, knocked him down, beat him 10 rounds. You beat and/or knock out Devin Haney. You know what? You're 8th in the world. You're pound for pound. What do I, about you now, you against anybody, I have no clue. It's a 50-50 fight, and I dare say I'm scared to pick against you. If you beat Devin Haney, I don't know what I'll do if that happens, because I'll say I wouldn't know anything. I would not know a thing about boxing. And some of y'all may think I don't know anything about it already. Hey, who knows? Who knows? Some of y'all might not think I know. If I got that wrong, oh Lord, everybody be looking like a fool in that fight. Specifically me. Because of what I said about Devin Haney, because of what I said about Rolly for years. Not a great fighter. I thought he talked his way into big time fights, but he never had the skill set. Every big fight that he was in, he had lost. He got knocked out against Tank Davis. He got knocked out against Isaac Cruz. He was going to get knocked out against Barrosos if that ref didn't come in and literally save his life and give him a win when a knockout didn't even happen, when a punch didn't even land, and Barrosos wasn't even hurt. Because nothing landed. Robbed Barrosos at 40-something years old of a world championship opportunity. A world championship win. I've said that. And I stood on it. And now, he's getting a potential fight with Devin Haney. And yes, and Tank KO'd Rolly. He did. Absolutely knocked him out. He lost every big fight that he was in up until the fight with Ryan. And if he fought Ryan Garcia again, this version of Ryan Garcia, I want to say that I would pick Ryan Garcia to win now. Fully healthy at 147 with this type of mentality now. I think he could beat him. Looks like he's a lot better. He's boxing a lot better. Using jabs and distance a whole lot better. Defensively is actually showing that acumen that we thought his physical capabilities could give him. And offensively has now used both his hands in a way that we're saying, hey, this is the type of flurry that we knew Ryan Garcia could be, or the type of volatility that we could see Ryan Garcia have as a offensive destructive force, because that's where he excels at the best, as an offensive destructing, a steamrolling fixture of speed and power. I would say that Ryan Garcia would be rolling. But again, if he beats Devin Haney, what the word do I know? If it happens, the word do I know? I'm just a bump on along. I know nothing, and I am simply out of my element. If that happened, I'd be shocked. I guarantee if he did it, I would, oh my gosh, that would be a, whoo! I couldn't imagine, but if it happened, I'd be shocked. But let me see. Al Booker, what's going on? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you so much for tuning into our show. We're so happy that you're here with us on today. We are still talking about, it's still the championship rounds for the whole of the show, like we do every single Friday. We're talking about anything under the sun. Nakatani Inoue, your discussions, comments, and debates. Tank coming back against Isaac Cruz, reportedly with Lamont Roach versus William Zepeda as the co-main event. Hypothetically, that's what's in the cards. Well, that's what's looking like is in the cards as the forefront of conversation as it stands right now. We've talked about that fight. We're talking about Ryan Garcia as a fighter, Devin Haney as a whole. When it comes to him versus Rolly Romero, the odds of Rolly going through and beating Devin Haney, do you think it's slim to none? Do you think it's something substantial? We want to hear from you. All of this and so much more we are excited to see and witness and hear your thoughts and opinions on it all. No question about it. It's your time to shine. It's your time to talk, and it's your time to show the world what we got to offer. No question, or what you had to offer, excuse me, on the table. No question about it. Ooh. Ooh. Wait a minute. Speaking of what's going on with Dana White and Zoo, and we also talk about Zoo for boxing as well. That would be a great card. Yeah, it would be a great card. Hey, look, you speak my language. That'd be a great card. That would be a great Tank versus Isak would be a great card. William Zepeda versus Lamont would be as a co-main event. Winner fights each other. That's what I'm thinking. We talked about how we also there was a splash in the pan of Zepeda versus Tank type of conversations. If we finally got to see that fight take place, would it be interesting? A rematch of epic proportions back to back. If Lamont wins and if Tank wins, would be a great situation to happen as well. It could lead into a world championship opportunity immediately. I would love that. I would hope we saw that. And if that does happen, makes for a perfect storm, and everybody will be calling everybody out in the aftermath of that fight, and I would love to see it, no question about it. I give Rolly a decent shot, 60-40 for Haney. I'm more so 70-30. I really don't think Devin Haney is going to struggle against Rolly Romero. I don't. That stylistic clash and the conservative mindset of Devin Haney with the size and now real physical ability and actual strength and power that he has unlocked at 147, I don't think he's going to struggle. I think he's just a terrible matchup. I think he is just a horrible matchup for Rolly Romero to be able to be successful with. I don't think he's going to struggle in terms of Devin Haney, at least in my opinion. But I respect it having 60-40. Because we touched on Rolly is a better fighter than he was in the past. The way that they fight, I can't pan it out. That's going to be close. Unless I get shot. And if I get shot by Rolly, my gosh, it'll be the second time. And I'll be like, man, I just don't know nothing. I don't know what thing if that happens. I don't know what thing. But with more news involving Zuffa real quick, and we just got an update with this. USA Boxing, one of the more bigger, not as big, but a legitimate fixture in the ramifications of the surrounding promotional standings of boxing as a whole, just withdrew their support for the Ali Revival Act that Dana White and Super Boxing are trying to do. Now mind you, this is major because now this is one of the more laden and substantial promotions as a whole saying, we don't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole anymore. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's transpired. I just got this from Dan Raphael, or Dan Raffle, as a tweet. As we see right here, withdrawing clarification involving the Ali on January 28, 2026, correspondence was transmitted to your offices regarding the Muhammad Ali Revival Act following review. And I'll even put this on I'll even put this on you all to be able to see. Yo, boxing learner, what's going on with you? How you doing? Salute to you. And we're so happy to be here with us all today. Like I said, it is the championship rounds, and we are kind of going through, and it's championship rounds for the whole of the show. And you all control the conversation and dialogue and the topics of discussion for the entirety of the show, forever long that we go. We're going to try to cap it at about 3 hours if we get there. But however long you all keep the questions coming through and keep the topics going, we are going to talk about it as well. We've gone through our whole dossier, gone through most of our major segments, and we're going to give you all the keys for the whole of the show to have your chance to say whatever you want to say and get your opinions and thoughts and get your takes off and see if we can test the big kahuna on the screen. In terms of me, and let's see what you got. No, okay. We're just having fun. We're talking and we're having a great conversation. We appreciate you coming through on the show. But we did just get some news on the Ali Revival Act and people pulling out investment. More importantly, the USA Boxing, and I will put it on screen for you all to read their sentiments and reactions if it'll pull up. Where's it? Here we go. And so as you can see, this is USA Boxing. This is given by Dan Raffel. Is it Raphael? I think it's Dan Raffel. I think it's Dan Raffel. Dan Raffel, one of the bigger boxing journalists, real journalists in the world of sports right now, coming through with this email sent by the USA Boxing in regards to their support of the Ali Act and then withdrawing it. Follow on January 28th, correspondence transmitted to your offices regarding Muhammad Ali Act or the Muhammad Ali Revival Act. Upon or following review, the USA Boxing Board of Directors determined that January 28, 2026, correspondence did not reflect a formally adopted board position at the time of submission and was not authorized by a vote of the board. Accordingly, the board issues this clarification and confirms that the January 18th correspondence does not represent the official position of USA Boxing. Accordingly, the board hereby withdraws that letter. After discussion, the board has determined that USA Boxing would not take position on HR 4624, which is essentially the Muhammad Ali Revival Act case that's going through with the Supreme Court. So that is a big deal. Now, mind you, this isn't, and I see some of y'all right now, like with Albuga, Raphael, like, okay, so it is Raphael. Okay, thank you. Raphael, like the Ninja Turtle. Thank you for the clarification. Okay, thank you. I just had to make sure. I had to make sure. Thank you for the clarification. But Dan Raphael essentially breaking this news, and it's big because another hit to the agenda of Zuffa Boxing. I'm not playing a side of the field. I'm simply telling you what's been going on. And I'm telling you right now, it's been a lot of dangerous stuff coming at the fray of Zuffa and Dana. Fighters getting mad about pay. Matchroom getting Tom Aspinall under their regime as a negotiating manager on contracts for Zuffa Boxing and Dana White. Now you got people pulling out of their support of said Revival Act. Stuff is getting, I'm not trying to be a whistleblower and be like, oh my gosh, the world is crumbling down. But this is the struggle. And it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a big struggle. Because now it's inside and outside of the house. You getting people saying, hey now, we got some issues with how all of this is going down. Legally or financially. We got some stress and we got some problems. And I dare say, Dana White still, while we've covered the Ali Act, we've covered what the Revival Act is supposed to be. Dana White has yet to still sit down with a legitimate journalist and or a law personnel in a public forum to answer these questions about what exactly he looks to do with this Ali Act as his ultimate goal. And what is the real overarching plan of what he wants this fight to be. Still hasn't done that. That's a problem. Sean Zito even offered him a seat on the table in the fight with Canelo and Terence Crawford. And said, hey, I would love to have a sit-down interview with you. Yeah, I think Dana White even said we can schedule an interview. Dana White said, don't say we can schedule an interview. And we can have a full sit-down about what all this stuff is about. So you ain't looking like a fool on camera and trying to throw shade at Sean. Yet, that ain't happening yet. And even when he is asked about it, he's asked about it by people with all due respect to them in terms of the pundits and liaisons at hand that are bringing up this question. They're not nearly as qualified to answer the said stuff or to push back properly, to give discourse and force him to answer certain things that need to be answered about the end goal of it all. Part of it's by design. Part of it's by design for Dana White. And it's a shame. But it needs to be answered because we, like I said, if this happened with USA Boxing, it can happen with more people. And all of a sudden, it's going to blow a lot of whistles for a lot of people saying, wait a minute now. Oh, it's getting a little bit sketchy and we got to be a little bit concerned. With all these big time entities pulling out of their support, what is it that we're missing that they now see? As to why we shouldn't want this to happen. Mind you, I'm not playing one side of the field. I could care less who I'm arguing for or against. That doesn't matter to me. We care about what is right in the end for the fighter and for the sport without taking advantage of everything involved. This is doing that, it can be a problem. It can get really sketchy. Let me see. Simple, they want to control the promotion and manage the fighter. Blatant, obvious conflict. Yeah, thank you. That's what it's seeming like. It's a conflict of interest. Somehow PBC was able to get away with it, though. And somehow, at least PBC has the reputation that they, in terms of fighter-friendly appeal, mind you, every promotion has their qualms and has their problems. Corruption abounds regardless. But at least they had the respect by most on the outside. And even within the entities of boxing as the fighters themselves. They'll take care of you if you're signed with them. They will. They will. At least I can say that as a baseline foundation in somewhat confidence. Regardless of which. Though, like I said, corruption abounds regardless for everybody involved. Because we've seen it and heard stories about it multiple times. Every owner's been sued. Every owner's has had to go to court for something or other involving practices that are not becoming of somebody in business. We know this. Even stuff I don't even know that you all may know speaks to the further edification. Not edification. Validation, that's the word I was looking for. Validation of said point. What you get? Y'all are teaching me. I'm only speaking on what I've been able to gather and learn. Because like I said, I'm still learning in this sport. I ain't 40. I ain't 40. I don't have the luxury of the same capacities of time that we've seen with others. I'm going to live long, be clear. But I've had the same experience. But what I've been able to see, what I have been around for, yeah, it's bad. But we just want, regardless of the sentiment, we just want people to see transparency with all these promotions as well as with the acts and rules involved with making these promotions work properly. Like I said, debating which one's worse or better, that's a whole nother conversation that, mind you, others with more knowledge are able to tell you which is worse and which is better. Absolutely. Golden Boy, Top Rank, PBC, USA Boxing, sinking, whoever you can think of. Don't matter. Plenty of other people, again, with more time and as well as resources, have been able to put together a more substantial argument for which is indeed right or wrong. Who is indeed better or worse than the other. Biggest thing is we just want transparency. That's all we ask. But across the board, and specifically with this Ali Act that is supposed to regulate how these promotions and promoters operate and work. And with the Revival Act, the Ali Revival Act, we want transparency as to Dana White, what is your ultimate goal? Because you're saying we would not be questioning you about this in such a fervent way if there was nothing to question about it. If there were sufficient answers that were given, we would not be asking you in the same vein exactly what this is, or you wouldn't be so defensive about this after giving a concrete, validated, traceable answer when pressed with legitimate questions. But you haven't. So that's why we talk like we talk. Let me see, either Top and Golden Boy, both of them sued PBC when they first did the game. I did not know that. Oh my gosh. I did not know that. Shoot. Dang. I'm gonna look up why. I need to look up why that happened. Let me see. Citing the Ali Act, somehow the PBC won. Okay. Here's the why. Citing the Ali Act, somehow the PBC won and were allowed to continue business as usual. Okay. So they sued within the Ali Act. They sued and said y'all were operating outside of practice, and they got ruled. Okay, they are operating in practice, and so now, with the current standing of the Ali Act, they're able to do what they're able to do. Okay. Now that's news to me. I did not know. Very interesting. I wonder what was the infraction they were trying to sue them for. Regardless of which, we'll find it out later. Simply put, Dana, you're in hot water. Not to be the dead horse. Dana, you're in hot water. The public sees you're in hot water. And if you are in hot water, you better get out now. Because it is now, the wall is not collapsing. You're still building Zuffa boxing as a whole. Yes. But for every step forward you've taken, there's been steps back due to lingering questions and concerns. You got Jai Apatow. You got Conor Ben. You got a whole production team. You put on about 2 or 3 cards now, some of which have actually been given decent reviews by people that have watched them. Crazy enough, there have been some actually really exciting fights that have happened on the card, though the names are not as well and good up here. But the issue of the brand identity, you stripping away the pomp and circumstance, the flashy, colorful gloves, the self-promoted identity that boxing has been able to garner for fighters with their own style and flair to make them stand out. You've taken that away. Fighter pay for the fighters under the UFC versus boxing looks to be unfair. You got fighters on the card saying, pay me, I need more money, give me another fight because I got a family to feed. That ain't a good look. And now you got people still talking about the Ali Act. And then you got people now like Eddie Hearn jumping into your domain and saying, hey, all right, you want to play that game? We'll play that game. And I'll expose you by going into your own domain as a manager and show these fighters what they should be getting. If it works out with the Tom Aspinall hiring and he is able to negotiate like he needs to. If. And so it's a lot of stuff that the walls, it's not, they're building at the same time they're building, there's air pockets in between each cinder block. The foundation isn't set, and let alone it's already starting to look shaky. Yeah, it's getting sketchy. It's getting sketchy. Let me see. It's a lot of time, but basically they showed the PBC is not a promotional company. The fighters have their own promotional companies, and the PBC simply helps set up the fights. Like the venue, for example. And Heyman is merely an advisor, not a manager. Okay. Okay, I can see why that would seem problematic. And they still let that go? Huh. So Al Heyman got sued because Al Heyman wasn't necessarily a actual manager. He was acting as an advisor. And the fighters, TBE Promotions, Canelo Promotions, they fall under PBC. Oh, okay. So that's why every time I saw Floyd Mayweather fight under PBC, I would see Mayweather Promotions Presents, or made possible by, this fight was made possible by Mayweather Promotions and the PBC, or something along that tenure. It was his promotional company. That makes so much sense as to why that kept on happening. Okay. Wow. Huh. Shoot. I tell you, you learn something new. You learn something new every day, don't you? I did not. I never put two and two together. That's actually wild. That's actually what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna look up that this weekend. Oh shoot. I'm gonna look up that this weekend. That is actually, my gosh. Dang. Oh shoot. I never put that. I don't know how I never put that together. That's insane. But again, Alberto, thank you for enlightening me with a short summary. I do appreciate it. Now it gives me a solid foundation to find out more on my own. No question about it. Smoke and mirrors to me, but it worked. It worked. It did work. I don't know how they got that passed. I don't know how they got that through. But my gosh, they got it through nonetheless. And it's working to this day. I am actually shocked. I'm actually shocked. But even still, we don't want to dwell too much on that. Those are an incredibly interesting conversation. I'm going to do some research on it so I can actually be more knowledgeable on my own. Because we do want to make sure we can get more people involved in the conversation, in the chat as a whole, with other topics involving the world of sports and boxing. Because this is still the championship rounds. Be clear. We are still involved in talking about the whole host of topics and conversations of everything involving the world of sports and beyond. Like if you want to talk about Keyshawn Davis and his next fight, I don't know why it went down to the startup screen, but if you want to talk about Keyshawn Davis, if you want to talk about Devin Haney, if you want to talk about Inoue, you want to talk about dream matchups and all of this we can discussing right here, right now, in the last, we have 2 hours, 30 minutes. We want to go till 3 if the chat can carry us to 3 o'clock. If not, like I said, we ain't going to overstay our welcome. We're going to wrap this show up and send it home. No question about it. Also, let me tell you, JT back in Boston. Yep, I got word today. As again, we're going into now, as we're a great transition into the world of the NBA. If you didn't know, we got some big breaking news in the ramifications of the basketball world, because now, as the NBA season is about 2/3 of the way through, getting closer and closer to those last play-in spots, the last final validation for how the playoffs are going to look as we're approaching playoff season and March Madness. Again, it's about to be a whole bunch of stuff going on. I was about to say Dana White. We now got the Boston Celtics, who have seemingly, when it looked like they were going to be one of the worst teams this year, with, or at least very much a middle of the road team, without their best player in Jason Tatum, now has been able to not just be able to regroup. My gosh, they're still one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference and one of the top teams in the NBA. Can you believe it? I can't not at all. And now they are slated to get Jason Tatum back on the court after tearing his Achilles. They back him better than ever. I am shocked, and I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I legit can't. I'm shocked. Again, we cover everything on the show. And so we're going off the questions of the crew, or the questions of the comments. And this is big. This is major. If you don't follow, I follow the NBA. I love the NBA. But he comes back and is even 75. I dare say he's 50% of what he was. And plays lightly off of that Achilles injury coming back into the season, which I didn't think he was going to even be able to return this year. Lord knows with how Boston looks like right now, I dare say they may be able to actually get to the finals. If he's looking even a semblance of his self with this team, Vucevic, Jaylen Brown, with Jason Tatum and Derek White, with still Peyton Pritchard, the majority of the lineup that he had before still kept. Oh my gosh, this is very scary. This is horrifying. This is absolutely petrifying. This is terrible. This is terrible in the worst way for the rest of the Eastern Conference. Because this team it was looking like it was going to be wide open. It looked like it was going to be wide open for the East. From the standpoint of, we got a lot of people, even the Knicks, can come out and be able to be on top or at least close to the top of the docket of genuine ability and structure to actually get out of the beat. It was wide open for somebody to make their first finals appearance. It was. Cleveland still had a shot. New York still had a shot. Shit, we even had Charlotte right now going on what 10-game win streak, now a 6-game win streak. Insane. And now they're back. They're still looking this good, and now they're about to get Jason Tatum back. If he even looks half as good as he did before injury, it's about to be bad. It's about to be bad. It's about to be trouble. It's about to be trouble. It's about to be trouble, and I can't wait to see it. My gosh, well, let me see what you all got to say, because check out more people in the chat. Like with Mortal Man Boxing, what's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Welcome from the UK, Mortal Man. Thank you for tuning into the show. Thank you for showing up on our live stream. Could have been anywhere but you chose to be here. Please keep on liking the stream. Keep on sharing the show. Keep on giving the public what they want, and keep on giving us some feedback and letting your voice be heard, because this is championship rounds. You all drive the conversation. You all control the rest of the show. Also, we got more people. I'm about to read your chats, absolutely. But also, we got people like Black Boxing Fatigue. What's going on with you? How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for showing up and showing out on our show on today. But let me see. Hi, Welch. It's UK Mortal Kombat here. Frank Warren is suing Turkey. Oh, gosh. Frank Warren suing Turkey for $1 billion over Turkey stealing his fighters from his stable. Not that he will get $1 billion. Welch, don't think he gets it. Yeah, I don't think he. I thought this was a rumor. I didn't know this was real. If this is real, he's not getting that billion. I'm not gonna lie, he's not getting that billion. That is a very that's a a lot of dough. That's a lot, and I don't think any fighters got stolen from what we were watching. And what we were, as we were watching, mind you, he worked with the ring, with the Quisenberry card, in a 5v5 matchup with Matchroom, him versus Eddie Hearn. And I can't remember if he lost or won that, but like, I don't think, from what I see, I don't think that he went through and stole any fight. If he did, I need to see some evidence. I don't know about that. I don't think he's getting that. If he does, he wins this lawsuit, brother. He can beat a new Turkey. He gets that money from him. He can beat a new Turkey for all I know. Absolutely. Let me see. Jaylen Brown cooked this year. Held it together. Nah, brother. Let me tell you something. Jaylen Brown, at this point in time, is an MVP candidate. He is an MVP candidate. Numbers aren't as impressive as others. Yes, he ain't SGA. He isn't Nikola Jokic. He ain't Giannis Antetokounmpo. Even though Giannis and the Bucks haven't been, very much on the up and up, but he is like, he working. He has worked, and now he's been able to go and be so productive. I love it. I absolutely love it. And from the standpoint of showing, even as a secondary option, hey, he's doing what we saw Scottie Pippen do with the Bulls when Michael Jordan retired for that 1 year and went to baseball. He still got the Bulls to 55 wins, or 50 plus wins, I think almost 55, and almost got them to the finals without MJ. Now that showed how great the team was. At the same breath, it showed exactly how good of a leader and how good of a player Scottie Pippen was in his own right. One of the futuristic point forwards that we have seen in the league. Incredible. Jaylen Brown held it down. People are even having conversations. Again, shouldn't be having conversations, but even people are starting to have questions about whose team it really is. It's Jason Tatum's team. Be clear. It's still JT's team. He's still the best player on that team. There's no question about that. None whatsoever. None at all. But Jaylen Brown has shown to be, I can play up to an equal. Excuse me, when it comes to a championship contender, that's exactly what you need. And that's what we got. That's what we have. That's what we have in abundance. And my gosh, because we have that with this team, with, again, signing Vucevic, a legitimate big, with the rest of that roster, that's about to be horrifying, man. It's horrifying. It's impressive that he did it, but it's horrifying that it's going down. Let me see. Hold on. B squared, the black boxer. Why you didn't even shut up? What the world? What I say? Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a second now. Wait 1 second. Wait 1 minute. Hold on. Hey, what did I say? Wait a minute now. The what did I say that was out of pocket? What you saying forget me for? What did I do? I'm confused now. What is something I said about Tank? What is something I said about Devin Haney rolling him out? I would love to know what the discourse is. I'm a little bit confused. My gosh, I ain't know about people the wrong way like that. But regardless of which, yeah, if you just be in the tank, you ain't gotta like what I say. If you just be in the tank, hey, just stick around. We're having fun. We're talking and discussing. And please, if you want to support the channel, even if you hate me, hey, go ahead. Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats, and Super Gifts. If you can support, would mean the world to me. But just going through it, just being here, leaving a like on the stream, and subscribing, and just sharing the show. The most important things you can do absolutely help build our empire and our community together. We're just glad that y'all are along for the ride. Absolutely. Remember, see, I think JT is going to jack up the chemistry. They're not making the finals. Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let me see. The Bulls lost. Frank swept 5. Yeah, he did sweep the Quisenberry fight versus Matchroom 5-0. Went complete. That's the card. That's the card that Zhang knocked. That is the card that Zhang knocked out Wilder with, wasn't it? Unless I'm tripping. If I'm not tripping, I apologize. I think that was the one, but we'll go through and still talking. But even still, the Bulls lost. I'm sorry. Bulls lost in the second round. You're right. Not almost got to the finals. Lost in the second round. You're right. I apologize. That's a mulligan on my part. But still, they were on a tear and still were able. If Jordan was on that team in the playoffs, they could have gotten to the finals again, even that year. That's how great Pippen was able to work with the rest of that roster as the main liaison and control that team, which, again, is incredible. That's what Jaylen Brown's doing right now. They're not going to win the finals without JT. But I will say this, and Just Do Boxing, I see you. How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning in. We're still talking boxing. We got people asking about the NBA, so we're talking about the NBA as well. The issue is, with this squad in basketball, in the Boston Celtics, Jason Tatum, when it got to the finals last year, he played horrible, both against the Warriors and in their most recent win. I forget who they played against, but whoever they beat when they actually won the title, I can't remember who it was. But Jason Tatum played bad individually in both of those final series. From the perspective of offensive production, him being the main scorer, he wasn't able to get it going. But he was able to adapt and turn into a facilitator. Let Jaylen Brown, Derek White, and the others carry more of the brunt of offensive work. He more so still got his points, but more so worked as a passer. That's what he's able to do. We did some of the things we saw with Devin Booker in some degree in the Olympics. We have seen, even when Jason Tatum is off or not playing at his best, this team can still be dangerous. The fact that he's there as a dimension of multifaceted working ability, where even without his scoring, he still has enough of an effect with the rest of that roster that he can still be effective and make them hard to beat. That's why even if he's 50%, for this team to get to the finals out of the East, he doesn't need to be at his best. He just can't mess up the chemistry. And when he has played not at his best, we've seen the chemistry still hold true. So I don't think it's going to mess up the chemistry as much, in my opinion. In my opinion. And I think even with a diminished production, he won't mess up the floor of what that roster has to offer. Because again, he's played with them so long. And they've won. It's almost the exact same team with a couple of additions, biggest being Vucevic. I think he'll be fine. Now, that's the problem. I think they'll be fine with him back in the roster. And that's scary. Because I don't think it's, if he doesn't get messed up, if the chemistry doesn't get messed up, and he just fits right in as a piece of the chessboard. Whoo, shoot, man. That can be horrifying. That can be very, very horrifying. But again, we're still talking boxing. We're still talking sports as a whole. We still want to hear from you. We talked about Inoue. We talked about Nakatani. We talked about Devin Haney. We talked about Tank Davis. We talked about Rolly Romero. We talked about even to some degree Ryan Garcia. A little bit. We discussed Zuffa boxing. We discussed the Ali Yak. We discussed Eddie Hearn. We want to hear from you in every regard regarding these topics of discussion and conversation. No question about it. Okay, yep, you see it. Okay, so what's the card they did? The Spinner Rooney. Let me see. They should just be cool as long as JT tries to fit in this year. They should be, and I think he'll be just fine. I ultimately do think he'll be just fine. And I think he'll be okay. But we like I said, this home stretch is going to be probably up until the 70 game mark. I can't remember how close we are until that. But it won't be until just about the season ends that we're going to see Jason Tatum feel fully comfortable. I know how to operate with this knee now. With this Achilles tear. I'm gained back confidence because I've played, even on limited minutes, multiple games, and I've somewhat reinvested my trust in my body to the point that now I can play without thinking about what can happen negatively, which can be a thing that mentally taxes folks. It takes some time. It takes a lot of time. But that transitions over to the playoffs and he's able to play like he can play, yeah, this team can be horrifying. It can be horrifying to play against. Absolutely. But even still, real quick, I do want to make sure that we cover the last bits of boxing news that we can before we go and get on out of here. When it comes to talking about the world of boxing as a whole, I think there's something going on with... did I see something passing along with Boots Ennis? Let me see real quick. I do want to make sure that we get this. Here we go. Okay, here we go. This is what I was trying to find. A little more news with Boots, as we just got word from Eddie Hearn himself that he is confirmed that we're going to see Boots back in May. Let me play the clip of Eddie Hearn talking about it himself. This is an hour ago per the Ring Magazine themselves. And I'll let it play for you all to be able to hear. Let me make sure y'all can see it first. There we go. Yep, and I'll let it play. And let's just see what he's got planned for Boots next.
On Ennis against Ortiz, I think it's the best fight in boxing.
Apparently nothing, because we can't hear a doggone thing. Hold on a minute. Let me try this again. Let me try it again. Hold on. There we go. Okay, boom.
On Ennis against Ortiz, I think it's the best fight in boxing in America. But we'll have to see. But right now, we're obviously planning the future of Gervonta Ennis as well.
Who is the future for Gervonta Ennis? Like, are you looking at Josh Kelly? Josh Kelly's obviously a fight that can be made. The Xander Zayas fight's a huge fight in America as well. Charlo's been on. Thanks, Andy. There's a whole host. But that was the fight that I really wanted to make. But we will get Boots a big fight, and he will fight in May. Yeah, fun
on Ennis against Ortiz.
As you can see, it's gonna be Kelly, Zayas, or Charlo as the next fights that they're looking at. Now, we covered, I am of the volition. Charlo may be a bigger opportunity than we may feel, but if these are the names they're trying to make next, absolutely. Now I'm starting to lean towards Zayas may be that guy. Get Boots a belt, get him a title, get him an opportunity, and get it so that he can go and have that fully fleshed out. I'm a champion. I'm a big dog. I'm one of the people that run the table at this division have that concretely in place. So that now, regardless of whether it's a fight with Boots or anybody else, we can see him be not just a big name, but somebody that goes through and demands respect and movement from the rest of the division. Potentially. And they've been talking about that fight as big in the States. What we have been waiting on Boots to be is a huge type of deal for the globe of the U.S. Now I say globe of the U.S. because the ecosystem of the States, for a lot of people, again, just Shushu Carrington said it, and a bunch of other fighters have said it as well, you're not real until you fight here in America. Now that shouldn't be true. I hate the fact that people feel that that's the case, but there is a pull that is undeniable if you can win big fights in the U.S. And if he does make a fight here in the U.S. with Zayas and gets a dub, gets a win, gets a big-time performance, it would make all the sense in the world that fight would be the thing to lean towards. If it ain't the fight with, again, Charlo. I would say fight Josh Kelly, but even with the fight with Josh Kelly, would that bring monetarily? Because Boots has a pick of the litter now that he can go through and discuss. Would Josh Kelly be worth the risk? In Eddie Hearns' mind, because this is still a business. I can say I wanted to fight Josh Kelly, beat the man that beat the boogeyman, and now you take that title of your own along with the time that you have. Everybody sees you as, oh boy, we can't avoid him, yet we can't avoid him, but we want to avoid him. And now you got to go and you got to run the table against him, regardless of whether you want to or not. That fear factor can be a big time mental additive. I love that for Boots. But financially, would they want to take that as a fight to get the, again, not just the title, but the most eyes on what you've been trying to crown as the future of this sport? What you've been trying to crown as the future boxing face that runs this place, to take the words out of, from AJ Styles. The face that runs the place, take that title for your own? Would make sense. Me personally, I would have loved to see Dalton Smith, Boots Ennis, UK. It may not sell out Wembley Stadium, but you can definitely get a big enough venue, especially with the following that we see Dalton Smith have over there in the States. And even now, Boots Ennis as a name has been able to transcend across the pond in popularity. That would be a fight that if I'm somebody, hey, get that global UK appeal and attempt to go and fight. Attempt to. Now, again, I would pick Boots to win. But what Dalton Smith showed against Subriel Matias, okay, there could be something there in terms of some stiff competition. Especially if you're able to knock out Subriel Matias, which we have been clear. I don't care if you're able to outbox him or not. Putting Subriel to sleep is something different. That is, with the again, ironclad chin and almost seemingly invulnerability that we were saying Subriel Matias have in every fight that he had been in. You doggone right. That would be a huge situation to have. Well, that was a huge means of fight accomplishment, on top of taking the belt. Oh yes. Show you can brawl, show you can box, show you can go to war, showed you had some good hand speed, showed that you had a chin, a real chin, and showed that if you need to go and dig it out, like, you can make it happen. I would love to see it, just for the fact to give Boots an opportunity to garner that overseas appeal. If he could get a win. Again, Dalton Smith is not a joke. But if he got a win and made it look good, if he did, my gosh, what that could do for his cachet globally would help to incentivize that claim, or help to further validate that claim. Oh, this is going to be one of the future faces of this sport. It could happen if you took that route. But again, will they take it? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. But let me see. Vladimir Klitschko has come out of retirement. He is missing back. Wait, hold on. Okay, now, Mortal. I heard about this. I heard about this, I think, months ago. Now, we said, or rather me, I think I said, I don't know if this is real or not then. I don't know if it's real or not now. If it is real and Klitschko's legit coming out of retirement, one, should he? That's the question. Should he? And two, how competitive would he be? If this is true, I don't know. It might do with this is the Dr. Iron Fist, but I believe this is the one that fought Anthony Joshua in his last fight at Wembley Stadium. In one of the fights of the year that year, that was the crowning achievement for Anthony Joshua, fully becoming the AJ that represented the whole of the UK that we see, or that we saw in its prime. That was the crescendo. That was the magnum opus of that rise. Going through, got knocked down, got hurt, got up, and then knocked him down and knocked him out. But Klitschko was still one of the most dominant people in this division. Was. This is even with the fight that he lost against Tyson Fury years before. I don't know if he should come back. Now, I will say the old guard is still around. Fury, Usyk, AJ, Wilder. Wilder fell off a cliff. AJ was still recovering from the trauma of the loss of his friends in that crash. So we're yet to see, as he's getting back in the gym, how he is feeling and looking. As time goes on, we'll find out. He'll return when he's actually ready. Understand? Usyk, though, has been the man that runs this whole world at heavyweight. Before even looking at Usyk, Tyson Fury, could he compete against him? Ajit Caballero, Fabio Wardley, Deontay Wilder. We don't forget, most of the talent still in the mix. Justice Hooney. Though he got knocked out by Fabio Wardley, with what you saw against him, before the knockout, he won every round. And he can fight. He can fight for real. Might not be a steep list of names. Might not be. But at the top, it's top heavy. And even up and coming from the bottom, there's some real people. Not to mention, you even got people like Big Bang Jang in the middle of the road. Jarrell Miller in the middle of the road. Though we know he's better than all of them at this age, just like we say with Floyd Mayweather. Where are you now when it comes to your ability to fight? We just don't know at these older ages of the sport. And it's concerning. It can be concerning at point in time. But let me keep on reading. Vladdy's back. That's wild. Oh, yeah, like that's the thing. Hey, Pacquiao came back. We got Klitschko wanting to come back. We got Floyd Mayweather coming back. Tyson Fury unretired and is back in boxing. Wilder's about to have another fight. Chizore's about to have his 50th fight. I don't know what's happening. Lord knows, who knows. We could actually see, dare I say, we could see Terrence Crawford come back. With all of these returns, we could see Terrence Crawford come back. Dare I say, seemingly because allegedly, if we're saying that Floyd Mayweather needs money, who's to say that we don't get Crawford versus Floyd at 154? Who's to say? It may take a lot for Crawford to get out of retirement. But my gosh, saying that $100 million wouldn't make him fight again versus that fight being on the table for potentially $100 million on Netflix, couldn't tell me that wouldn't be something that against Floyd, old or not, Couldn't tell me that wouldn't be something what might transpire. Couldn't say that to me. Errol Spence coming back. Jermell Charlo coming back. What in the world what's in the water? Nonito Donaire is still fighting. We got, Arizona Lara is still champion at 43 years old, the oldest champion in boxing. You got, Artem Beterbiev was just undisputed, lost his belt to Bebo, had 2 fights of the year, and still was able to go through and is still looking to compete. Like, everybody old is still here. I don't understand. I don't get it. Like I said, granted, I love it because we get to see greatness potential for long. But my gosh, it just doesn't it defies the normal laws of physics when it comes to the world of boxing. We had Mike Tyson fight. Mike Tyson's fighting again, which again, he shouldn't. He's fighting again. The world. Next thing you know, Shannon Briggs is going to come back. We're going to get stinking. Don't be surprised if Roy Jones Jr. fights again. Don't be surprised. You know what's even better? Don't be surprised. Hey, look. I'll tell you this. Don't be surprised if Andre Ward comes back. Look. You think he's been getting asked about it more and more. All these other old folks coming out of retirement. Don't be surprised if Andre Ward all of a sudden says, hey man, it's going to take a lot of money for me to come back. Guess what? It's there. Guess what? It's there. It might be there for him, and it's going to be insane, man. Shoot. It boggles my mind. But it is the truth nonetheless. The cookout is getting mighty. Boxing turned into an old folks' home to some degree. I mean, my goodness, man. I can't believe it. But let me see. Charlo trying to come back. Yeah, he is. Now, granted, he's just been calling everybody out. I still need to see him in the ring before I can be confident in what his ability can be against the rest of 154. Him versus the winner of Tim Tszyu versus Errol Spence would be my perfect fight. I'll be completely honest. Is that the right song? No. Where's it? There we go. That's the right sound I was looking for. But yeah, him versus Errol Spence would be the fight I would love to see. That would be the fight. If we saw Spence beat Tim Tszyu, Spence versus Charlo at 154. That would be the fight. That's the most realistic, competitive type of fight I can see Charlo win, because I don't know where Charlo's at right now in his own skill set. And he ain't ready for boots. I'll tell you that right now. Or most of the other people that he called out, he ain't ready for them. In this perceptive skill set that he has right now. But like, if I was to make a card, that would be the thing for me. It seems competent. They're both still trying to come back, both off of multi-year layoffs, both off of some of the worst performances of their career, respectfully. Now, again, Crawford beating Spence holds different connotations to Charlo losing to Canelo, because Spence tried. Charlo did not try. The heart of a lion showed he doesn't have heart at all. The lion turned into a cub. He laid down and died against Canelo because he didn't even try to do anything different. Spence went until he couldn't go no more. He just got beat by a better man. Charlo didn't even attempt to do anything, which is, again, stupid. It had us really questioning him. Understandably, we should be. But even still, like, it makes sense for a fight to him come back. It makes sense for him to come back. Let me see. Kell Brook is coming back. So this is real. This is real. Kell Brook is coming back out of retirement. Kell Brook is coming. So let me see. Mortal Man, Kell Brook is coming back out of retirement. Welch, I spoke to him. He said he would be up for fighting Eubank Jr. for, if the money is right, Welch. And Soldier of God, Ward, wanted to fight Joshua, but Joshua not interested. He wanted to fight at heavyweight. So let me get this straight. So mind you, y'all, this is the second time this has happened. We had MS break the news. we had MS come on this show and break the news about Benavidez fighting Zurdo weeks before he even moved up there. If this is true again, that Andre Ward wanted to fight Anthony Joshua, and that Kell Brook is coming out of retirement legitimately, if the money's correct. Now, where would he fight? I'm very interested in. Would he be fighting at 154, or would he be fighting at 147, or maybe lower at 140? I'm interested to see what his division would be. But if this all does bode true, hey, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Y'all better invest in this channel, because we breaking news left, right, and center before anybody else got it. Hey, look now. I'm telling you, if we go 2 for 2, and this stuff gets confirmed, and official announcements and all on both ends, I'm gonna tell you something. I told you we gonna grow. We more than just a pundit show. We more than just have talking and debating. And if you do choose to support the channel monetarily, it's money well spent, because you're gonna get stuff you don't get from anywhere else, baby. I'm telling you, we bad out here. If we go 2 for 2, we bad out here, boy. We bad out here. And if this is real, great. If this is real, great. I love it. Like I said, we want to make sure we take everything with a grain of salt, but we also don't try to, if it's real, we don't try to dissuade it. If this does come out to be true, phenomenal. I'm going to tell you this. Kell Brook, one, I don't know where he's going to come back from, or what he's going to come back to in which division. And two, if he does come back, I'm interested to see exactly how his talents have fared against this new regime of qualitative ability at these divisions, at the various divisions of 154 to 147. 154, would he want to go to 154 and fight in this type of murderer's row of competition where it's 1 through 10, everybody's in trouble? And even outside the top 10, you still got killers. Or would he go to 147, where it's top heavy? And you can potentially, because again, we don't know where skill set is, but it's potentially, if you come back, still be able to go and show what you can do, how you can move, where you can potentially maybe line yourself up for a world title opportunity. Maybe. Hypothetically. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. And again, if Andre Ward, going off with the Andre Ward conversation, if Andre Ward goes back through and fights like, I don't know if that fight with Anthony Joshua was going to happen now because of the crash incident. I think AJ, if he does come back, he's gunning for Tyson Fury. I do believe that. Andre Ward, though, you know who we might come back for? And it might sound very... Well, I was going, well, no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say, never mind. No, I'll say it anyway. The only person I could see him come back for, that would be, well, he's 35, 30, he's 30 something. He's high 30s. Ah, man. He ain't come back for Wilder. He ain't fighting Dubois. Usyk, he ain't messing with Usyk at all. Tyson Fury, he definitely stepping in the ring with Tyson Fury at this point in time, if he wanted to come back. Benavidez? If Benavidez stays true to say, I'm going up to heavyweight, he probably wouldn't want those problems either. But that's the only other big name I could see that would be light heavyweight, cruiserweight-esque level that fit somewhere around where Andre Ward fought previously. Nah, he won't take that fight. He wouldn't take that. He wouldn't take that. Never mind. He wouldn't take that fight. He would never take that. He wouldn't take that fight. Benavidez could garner enough cachet to be worth $100 million down the line, but he wouldn't take that fight. No, he wouldn't take that fight. So yeah, it might be Andre Ward or Anthony Joshua or bust. It might be that or bust. It might be AJ or bust for the likes of for the likes of Andre Ward. It might be AJ or bust for Andre Ward. No, I think, yeah. Anthony Joshua or bust would be the only fight that I could see Andre Ward coming back for. If he did come back at heavyweight, that's the only fight. Outside of that, nobody else. I couldn't see him. No, I couldn't see him. He wouldn't want those problems with these other people. He wouldn't. Not because he isn't good, but because Tyson Fury would be too big. Usyk is way too good. And still, crazy enough, still in his prime. And Benavidez, though he's as close to as big of a star at cruiserweight, with the current latent power now, Andre Ward would not want to get in the ring with that. He would. You can test him. He'll probably talk. And I'm not questioning that he thinks he could actually beat him. He may actually think he could beat Benavidez. But as the only other big fight at heavyweight, if Benavidez just move up to fight, if it ain't Anthony Joshua, he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't actually do it because that risk and that type of firepower, it's too much. That's too much. Let me see. Junior Spock. If I didn't say hi, Junior. How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for tuning into the show. Spence versus Charlo seems like a fair matchup. Yes, it does. Very fair in my eyes. Absolutely. I want Zayas versus Virgil or Boots. I want Zayas versus Virgil or Boots versus Zayas or Kelly versus Boots. So let's rank these likelihoods of possibilities. Third likely to happen, Josh Kelly versus Boots. Most likely, in my opinion, because monetarily, I don't know if Boots and Eddie Hearn see Josh Kelly as enough viability to go and say, hey, we want to strike while the iron's hot and we want to move to garner the biggest interest and get a belt. Let's go after Josh Kelly. Though I think it could happen, it could still be beneficial. I don't know if they're going to go that route from a business perspective. Especially with Josh Kelly just now having a big splash in his career. Not disrespect, but from the thinkings of of Eddie Hearn and Boots from a financial standpoint. Down the line, yeah, that fight can happen. But I think that'll be the third most likely to happen. Virgil versus Zayas would be the second most likely. But I don't know if it would happen. Now, granted, that's because of the fact that with this whole situation with Virgil Ortiz, Golden Boy, them going to court, the arbitration, the suing, and everything under the sun in regards to them making this fight happen or not. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot going on right now. And it's like, I don't know what direction we're going to see Virgil go about. Though, we want him to get a belt. We want him to fight. Absolutely. In my opinion, we might see Virgil, well, I'll say that. I'll say that. That Virgil versus Zayas, second most likely. Most likely now, Zayas versus Boots. That's the most likely fight of these combinations that I can see happen. Now, Josh Kelly is not going to be left out in the sun. I could be wrong. Real quick. Speculation. Hey, speculation now. Don't take it. It's simply speculation. We could see Boots versus Josh Kelly. Zayas versus, I said that wrong. We could see Boots versus Zayas. Josh Kelly versus Ortiz. And now, both of them get belts. Ortiz fights out the rest of his contract, retains. Then you get Boots versus Virgil unification. Can transpire. Boots versus Zayas. Boots can get 2 belts. Big fight here in the States that will bolster his cachet exponentially. Especially, again, if you're from the UK or from overseas, we in the States, we don't talk about boxing a whole lot. I love it. It was one of the biggest sports in our country, and then it fell off because of corruption. But now, resurging back somewhat in the mind's eye But it still don't get talked about a lot unless it's a big name. We don't follow the sport. We follow the fighters more than anything. Unlike with the NBA or baseball or basketball, football and basketball, in terms of American football, basketball being the two biggest sports in the States. We only talk about boxing when it's somebody that is uber popular. The heavyweight division didn't get cared about up until Tyson Fury and Wilder were fighting against each other in the States. And their rematches. Even Usyk versus Fury didn't get nearly as much of the shine that it should have gotten over here in the States. Why? Not American fighters weren't involved. Tank gets talked about once in a blue moon. When anything talking about boxing wise. Why? Because that's the biggest relevant American name that we have. Ryan Garcia also. But of that, you see what I'm saying? Big time stars. Devin Haney, big time star. Canelo, big time star. Terrence Crawford. After Errol Spence Jr., big time star. Though he should have been a star bigger than that a long time ago. We don't talk about boxing a whole lot. Boots has been one of the few people that have been talked about on public spaces as the next face of the sport to us. Now, I think it can be it for a multiplicity of countries because he's that good of a fighter and that entertaining of a fighter. But he's one of the few people that we've talked about outside of those main five that, we should pay attention to. And so that type of momentum is already built up to where we are anticipatory to crown somebody as our next it guy already for us in States. And we'll pay big money for it. So because of that, that's why I think that we're going to get that fight with Virgil, with Boots and Zayas more than any other fight. And also it'll be Zayas, it'll be more money, the biggest fight he's ever been in and the most money he's ever had. And the risk reward from the perspective of monetary value would be worth the potential loss. And so he'll take that fight. And so we can see it happen. Flip side, Zayas, or flip side, Virgil versus Josh Kelly. Take the belts. You fight over in the UK. Whoever wins that fight, my gosh, gets a huge push. You can make it for the first fight over in Kelly's hometown or Kelly's country. Big time venue, big time event. Everybody comes through. If Virgil wins, now you get Virgil versus Boots as, even more luster. Kelly wins, all of a sudden Kelly becomes a big time threat to everybody in the world at 154. And everybody's got to start looking at this cat and saying, hey now, Fundora, you better be careful. Thurman, you better be careful. Even Boots, you better be careful. Because the buddy that was your biggest op just got beat by somebody else in potentially a boxing masterclass. If he got the dub. There's a lot of ways it could go. But either way, those are the two matchups I could see as the most prominent ways of going through, in my opinion. But I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it all. But that's how I would rank it. Zayas versus Boots, option number one. Virgil versus Zayas or Virgil versus Kelly as option number two. And then Josh Kelly versus Boots or Zayas, option number three. That's how it'd be. Sadly, because of the marketed power, because again, this is a business. Kelly may be the odd man out in this regard from the standpoint of the least appealing option. Doesn't mean he is a bad option at all. But from the perspective of finance, from what I can see, that is the most likely hierarchy, at least for me. Let me see. Susanna Marshall wants to put Clarissa Shields to sleep and wants revenge. She does. I don't. Now, here's the thing. I don't think Marshall can beat Clarissa Shields. Even in the rematch. Though they had a great fight the first time. I definitely don't think she can put him to sleep. I don't think she got enough power to put him to sleep. But I do think she can come back and be stronger in that fight. I just don't know if she can beat her. I just do not know if she can beat her. It's hard for me to look at anybody right now in the women's division across the board as being able to beat Claressa Shields right now at the current standing of talent at this point in time. When Claressa Shields starts to decline, that option can open up a little bit more. It can, absolutely. I just can't see anybody. I can't see anybody beating her at this point. It's crazy to think that somebody was able to separate herself that much. But I think she's done it at this point in time until the decline starts to happen, or in a more significant way. Because some of you might say that Claressa's already started to decline. Understand. But it's still so far and away above most of the other quality competition at this point in time. It's hard for me to say anybody beats her. I don't know if anybody beats her right now. Right now. Now, like a year or two, when she starts to slip a little bit more, okay, we might have a better conversation. Right now, I just don't think anybody beats her. Even Savannah Marshall, who can be, again, a better opportunity. She can put up a better fight than most. Yes, she can. Oh, yes, she can. It's hard for me to see anybody stopping her right now. Really, really hard. And speaking of which, in terms of the women's division, another fighter you need to keep your eye on, Daniel Dubois' sister. Dubois versus Alicia Baumgartner. Though Baumgartner just got announced at a fight with what was her name? Alyssa Baumgartner just got a fight announced going up against somebody. What's her name? What was her name? I believe it is a Japanese female fighter. Let me see if I can find it real quick, so I can bring it up properly. Who in the world was it? Come on now. Come on. Here it is. Yep, here it is. Listen, Baumgartner, she get ready to fight against Bomi Wee Shin. 19-3-3, 10 KOs. And Baumgartner 17-1, 10 KOs, or 7 KOs on her resume. And so for the junior lightweight title. And so after this fight, be on the lookout for Dubois versus Baumgartner. In fact, let me pull up the clip. Let me actually pull up the graphic there, because you can see it. After Bomi Wee Shin versus Baumgartner, depending on the winner of that fight, if Baumgartner doesn't win, look out for Dubois versus Baumgartner. That's more than just talk. It might not happen immediately. That's more than just talk. That's a real fight. That's a real fight that can happen. That's a good fight if that takes place. Oh gosh, that's a headline. That's a war. That can turn into a bloody war real quick. Real quick. Especially with how both of them looked in their last fight. Be on the lookout. It can transpire. It can happen. If it does, I can't wait to see it. I'm so excited to make it happen. But even still, we are past the 3-hour mark in this show. We do have to wrap this up and send it home so you all can go through and still enjoy your day. We just said the cutoff was going to be 3 hours. We went a little bit over, but even still, last call real quick for the show. If anybody's got anything to say, last call for conversation topics and tidbits. Like I said, if you still want to support the channel, please leave a like on the stream. Keep on sharing the show. Keep on subscribing if you haven't already. And please, if you want to give to the show and would like to support, shameless plug, Cash App, PayPal, links down below in the description. We want to hear from you. Last call for the world of the Welch Report for the standpoint of this episode. What you got to say, questions, comments, concerns, debates, and all this in regards. Katie Taylor may retire soon. Yeah, I think she said she wants to have a fight in her hometown as her last stop. I think I can actually pull up she did put out a tweet, didn't she? I think she put out a tweet on who she was trying to fight. Look at here, yep, here it is. Per BBC Sports themselves, it ain't May. It's It will. This happened February 25th. Got confirmed by the BBC media over there in the UK. Katie Taylor will retire after her fight in Dublin. It's going down. It's about to be it. It's about to be it after the phenomenal awards, one of the greatest female fighters we've had in boxing history, especially of this generation in sport of boxing. The awards she had with Savannah Marshall going after multiple titles, multiple unifications, making history left, right, and center, being a part of some of the biggest paydays that we've seen in some of the biggest, straight up some of the biggest fights we've had in boxing women's history. I think it's first to headline a main card as a straight up headlining event at that scale against the likes of Amanda Serrano. Incredible. Winning, I can't remember, did she have a draw or did she win all three? I think she won all three fights. I thought, now I'll be the first to admit, one of those fights I think she should have lost. I think it was the second one. I'll rewatch them, but I think it was the second one. I think she should have lost the second one. I think she should have lost the second one. Or the first. I'll rewatch them. It was either the first or the second one, but I'm leaning towards the second one. I think she should have lost that one. It was a couple of headbutts that should have been taking points deducted. But in regards to that, Ward's done less than incredible performances. She done. It's legit. She done. Yeah. So it's like, enjoy while you can. She's going to get a fight in Dublin. I think it's going to be in her hometown, in the stadium. I don't know the opponent at this point in time, but yeah, she's about to go. And so a credit to an incredible career. Will she go out on top? I would imagine. Amar, I don't know who she's fighting, but I'm picking her to win, regardless of who that fighter may be. But it's going to be like a farewell of epic proportions. It's going to be emotional. It's going to be very emotional. And it's going to be an end of an era for a lot of people that kind of got into women's boxing in this generation because of her wars with Amanda Serrano. Because those are the kind of the three standard bearers for this era of women's boxing. Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, and Clarissa Shields. Clarissa being, again, the tip of the top for the bigger global standpoint. But then Katie Taylor being one of the most accomplished, and Amanda Serrano being, again, not one of the biggest hitters. So it's like I said, I've said this about with Usyk, Canelo, Fury, Crawford, the old era is winding down across the board, and a new era is starting to come about. Slowly but surely it's happening. So enjoy it while you can. So it's a credit to an incredible career, no question about it. And we'll see who that opponent's going to be when it gets announced finally. But we'll talk about that on Tuesday, because we got to wrap this show up and send it home and get on out of field. Let me see. Big Baby Miller's hair unit fell off his match. Yeah, that's how we covered that, I think, the week that it happened. So you can go back and see. you can go back and see our reactions to that fight. We had a lot to talk about with that fight with Jarrell Miller against. Woo! That was funny. We laughed a lot about that, but we talked about it earlier in past episodes. So you can go back and watch that show to see the reaction to it all. No question about it. I think it was about 2 weeks ago that we can discuss it. No question. And so enjoy it while you can. No, we're still going to be up. Enjoy it, absolutely. And enjoy the rest of the show that we got going on. But we got to end this show and end this episode because it's been a phenomenal time with you all. But we have to go and end it off with a bang. So with all of that being said, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And this has been another edition of The Watchable with me, your host, Jean-Luc Watch. We thank you so much for tuning in and enjoying our show. Hopefully you've had a great time. Hopefully you've had a great event. Hopefully you enjoyed what we had going on. And hopefully you'll be back on Tuesday for more talks and conversation involving the world of boxing and beyond with you all. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. If you can't support the show, we still have, again, last desperate plea, Cash App and PayPal. Links down below in the description, as well as Super Chats super gifts, stickers, and the like. If you can support the show, if you can give to the show, it means the world to me. We can't do this without viewers like you. You all help make this show also phenomenal, and we enjoy you all the time. Thank you to everybody who tuned in and listened to. So y'all on the side of the screen, everybody who chatted, everybody who came through and was involved, everybody who went and viewed the show, we appreciate you. We thank you so much. Y'all were wonderful. Y'all were incredible, and we can't wait to see you back here next time. Same place, same channel. We're here every week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday afternoon, as well as with some of the bigger fights of the year. We go and live stream as well. Be sure to rate us 5 stars on whatever podcasting platform you listen to. Listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a like on the video. Comment your thoughts and opinions of what you liked or didn't like about the show. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Come join the empire and share the show with everybody that you know, so we can keep on building up this empire together, all with you and your support. And we thank you for tuning in, and we thank you for listening. We're going to be back on Tuesday covering the world of boxing and sports as a whole. We can't wait to see you all there. I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been wonderful. Be safe and be blessed. Top 5 chatters for this show. Number 5 was Mortal Man. Number 4 was Truth. Number 3 was Teddy Berkshire. Number 2 was, in a turn of events of upsets, per the YouTube rankings. I think these rankings actually are skewed. I think it's actually Al Booga as number 2, and number 1 is Love King. I know, look, this is per YouTube rankings. Okay, Love King, you're the number 1 chatter ranked by YouTube themselves on the top fans. So if you have some schisms with them, I take it up with YouTube. I'm just reading off the list, but I think it actually should be, as much as Junior Spock was chatting as much, I think it was actually the fact that Al Booker chatted more. I think rankings might be, oh, wait a minute now. We may have some corruption in the world of rankings on YouTube right now. Oh, Lord. Oh, my, indeed. And we don't need more drama going on right now. I think it actually should be Motorman number 5, Truth number 4. Oh, excuse me. Motorman number 5, Truth number 4. I think it should be Al Booga at number 3. Teddy Berkshire at number 2. And then Love King at number 1. Again, but hey, we'll find out. We'll find out if we can get it right. And Junior Spot, I think it should be properly rated. You just missed the top 5 for the chats on this show. But again, per YouTube rankings, you're number 2. If you want to dispute it, take it up with YouTube. I'm just reading off the numbers like we can see them. But with all that being said, we just thank you all for tuning in, and we thank you all for listening. And hey, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just reading it off. But with all that being said, I've been Jean-Luc Welch. Y'all have been absolutely wonderful. Be safe and be blessed. And we are out of here. Yes, sir. We're going to see you all on next week. Be safe, be blessed, have a wonderful time. Enjoy your weekend. And hey, peace and love. Salute to you. We out of here.